Hello everybody, welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode, I'm going to be going over the Gamrot versus Oliveira fight. What a crazy fight in Brazil. The fight was incredible. The main event was incredible. The crowd was wild and crazy. You heard the Brazilians chanting, screaming, yelling all the way through the fight. Oliveira comes out exactly like he always does, like a bat out of hell. You'd think that maybe after his last fight against Taporia, he got knocked out senseless. You'd think, maybe this time he's going to be a little bit more cautious. Maybe he's going to, work the jab a little bit. Maybe he's going to, circle a little bit. Maybe he's going to tiptoe around instead of going straight for the kill. No. The Oliveira we love and trust always does. Leave that thing out of the way. Oliveira, like a madman, comes out. He's hunting Gamrot right off the bat. Gamrot seemed to have no firepower whatsoever. Every time he threw, it seemed like he was so tentative. He was so scared to exchange. It seemed like he wasn't even aiming for the target. He's just circling around, and Oliveira is hunting him down, throwing punches, kicks, knees, clinching, trying to throw the elbow, trying to throw the knee. Aggressive, the Oliveira Muay Thai that everybody loves. It's super entertaining, but highly risky. Gamrot shoots down for a crackdown, like a high crotch crackdown. Brings Oliveira down to the ground real easily. But I'll tell you something. Oliveira wants to go to the ground. You could tell, he's got 5 rounds. He's got plenty of time to work. He's one of the best finishers in the history of UFC. He wants to be on the ground. He doesn't care if they're standing up or on the ground. Gamrot didn't like the striking one bit. He's like, let me take this to the ground, and guess what? He can do it. He drops down, takes Oliveira down. Oliveira starts throwing up attacks immediately. Ends up in omoplata. Now, guys, if you don't know Gamrot's ground game, he's also very good on the ground. Very good. He's not just a good wrestler. He's also heavily seasoned on the grappling department, BJJ department. Oliveira still gets the best of him. Puts him in one omoplata. Gamrot gets out. He puts him in another omoplata. Gets on top of Gamrot. Gamrot steps over the omoplata. Oliveira turns to his knees, grabs the leg, hikes it up. Gamrot has no choice but to go for one of his own attacks. He goes to the bottom and starts attacking a leg, kind of like he's doing a K-guard almost. Still, Oliveira twists and turns, gets on top of Gamrot, takes Gamrot's back. He's crushing Gamrot in the ground. Round 2 rings, okay? Round 2 comes about. Gamrot, in my opinion, was saved by the bell. Pretty much, he was going to get subbed in round 1. If he had more time, Oliveira was getting that sub. Now Gamrot goes back to his corner. I don't think he has any avenue for hope. There's still 4 more rounds. He can't strike with Oliveira, it seems, and he can't hang with him on the ground, and that's just round 1. Oliveira starts hunting him down, and then Oliveira does the craziest, unthinkable thing. He takes down Gamrot. And quite easily, Gamrot didn't fall over or anything, but he couldn't stop Oliveira. Oliveira shoots a takedown, comes up to the body lock, locks him up, brings him down to the mat, takes his back, and you guys all saw it. Oliveira choked him out. Guys, I got to take my hat off and tip my hat to Oliveira. He got brutally knocked out by Taporia. Turned around, not too long after. Signed up to fight Fiziev. That fight falls through, and he fights Gamrot, and he's like, I'll take anybody. He fights Gamrot and puts it on Gamrot from bell to bell. I'm forgetting how long the fight lasted, but it didn't last long in round 2. He went at him after being brutally knocked out. One of the worst knockouts I've ever seen. Taporia knocks out Oliveira brutally. As Taporia's falling to the mat, he hits him again with another shot. It was a horrific knockout. Oliveira comes back. What a lion. What a tiger. What a warrior. That's why so many people love to watch Oliveira. He's a wild man. He's game. He has one gear. It's fight, attack, kill or be killed. He lives by the sword, guys. He lives by the sword. So sometimes he dies by the sword, and sometimes he, like he did last weekend, he shines by the sword. He's a blood and guts fighter. He's a very technical guy. He's a very intelligent guy. It's just his personality, I would tell you. He's a go-getter. He's a hunter, and he went after it. Guys, this is one of his biggest wins ever. His comeback, because of what happened with him and Taporia. It was such a brutal KO. The fact that he came back and shined so brightly is amazing. And But what does that say about Topuria? I mean, Gamrot beat Armin. He beats Armin, and then he loses to Oliveira. Now, I know Oliveira beat Armin. I know Oliveira also... I know Armin also beat Oliveira. But still, think about that. Think about it a second. Look how high Topuria's skill level is. These guys, both Armin and Gamrot. Well, Gamrot, of course, had a lot of trouble with Oliveira, but Oliveira gave a good fight to Armin. Not to Topuria. Topuria just walked through. He just walked through Oliveira. That's why when you guys are asking me, what do you pick, Topuria or Armin? I'm picking Topuria. I'm picking Topuria. I'm telling you. Topuria will beat Armin. If that fight ever happens, he will beat Armin. Now, I like Armin. I'm a big fan, but I just don't think he can hang with Topuria. It just goes to show how powerful, how explosive, how dangerous Topuria is. Okay, guys, with that said, let's talk about this fight and this fight only for a little bit, and then we'll open it up to anything else. Guys, use promo code FALL50OFF at jujiclub.com and get 50% off absolutely anything on jujiclub.com. Guys, make sure to pick up A Man's Guide to Throwing a Punch, tons of jiu-jitsu videos, wrestling videos, and of course, very important, strong and stable knees. Get your knees and body super healthy. Check out Strong and Stable Back. It's a life-changing video. Those videos are life-changing videos. Check them out. Use promo code FALL50OFF and get 50% off anything. Okay, guys, with that said, let's hit these fights and this one fight first. People now say Charles has a better resume than Islam after the Gamrot fight, but Islam already beat Charles. How does that even make sense? That's from Yahya. Yahya, fans are crazy. Like, now fans are going to be like, oh, Gamrot's overrated. No, Gamrot's a stud. Gamrot's a killer. Guys, Gamrot is a killer. I can't explain his performance. I can't do it. I don't know how. I thought he would do better than that. Guys, I was telling you, after Oliveira got knocked out so bad by Topuria, I was thinking Gamrot's going to walk over. Not walk over him. Not walk over him. But I thought Gamrot might ride the coattails of Topuria. Why? Because when you get knocked out so brutally, sometimes that affects your chin. And I know Topuria has been there, Oliveira has been there before and he's been knocked out, but not like how Topuria knocked him out. Topuria knocked him out like flatline. Like, I was scared for the man's health. Rewatch that knockout. Topuria hits him with a right. Bam! Charles is on the way to the canvas, out. Hits him with a hook. Bam! I'm like, oh my goodness, man. And it's like, Topuria was in the middle of the combination. It's not like he was trying to add to the KO. I think if he knew he was going down, he wouldn't have threw the left hook. He just, he's in the middle of a fight here. He's throwing combinations. But the knockout was just so bad. Sometimes guys never fight the same way again after being knocked out like that. And their chin and their jaw is not the same. So I was like, 5 rounds, I really like Oliveira versus Gamrot. But after getting knocked out like that, I was like, eesh. Guys, I got to move this thing out of the way. It's driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts. It fell over and it's driving me nuts. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so I thought Gamrot would do a lot better because he'd be riding the coattails of a big KO from Topuria. Topuria would have done some of the work for him. But no, Oliveira looked amazing. He looked actually probably better than ever. But he fought similar to how he fights. He's a pedal to the metal, go toe-to-toe, run the guy over, use Muay Thai, run him over. I mean, he tried it on Topuria. It just didn't work. Topuria has too much firepower. Too much. Coach Salami, can Ipo help K-Guard? Okay. Well, yeah, of course it can help K-Guard. Islam beat Moicano and featherweight and old Poirier. That's from Charles. Okay, there you go. Now everybody, see, I love how people rewrite history. Like Islam Makhachev is #1 pound for pound. Now they're gonna be like, oh, well, he beat a tired old Poirier. Oh, no, he didn't. He beat a prime Poirier. And he beat up Moicano. Moicano got a title fight only because he stepped in because his opponent was injured. No. Moicano is a great fighter. Moicano is on a win streak. Moicano is a black belt. He subbed the black belt. Moicano is super seasoned. These are not easy fights. He's just that good. Islam is just that good. Topuria is just that good. Oliveira is just that good. He beat Gamrot in a way that was incredibly impressive, man. The guy's improved. I don't know. Maybe that fight with Topuria woke something up in him. But I find it's like when Izzy lost to Pereira. Everybody was like, oh, Izzy's so overrated. No, he's not. He's a legend, man. The man has literally over 100 wins. He's fighting at a world-class level his entire life for decades. And the man racked up over 100 wins. Of course, that includes his kickboxing career, but that's incredibly impressive. And then, he loses one fight to the guy with probably the most dangerous KO ability ever. And everybody's like, oh, well, he's not that. No, guys, it's just how the casual fans think. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. They don't understand how far this man has gone, how elite, how special, how unique he is. It's just people dismiss elite athletes sometimes in a way that's absolutely absurd. It just reflects their ignorance. But, it kind of deflates my energy. It's because I have to explain to you how great this guy is. And even the tippy top cream of the crop guys will sometimes go on a losing streak. And you just look at Yoel Romero. He's one of the most elite. He's probably the most elite athlete to ever step into the octagon. Okay. And he's lost, I think it was 4 fights in a row. And it's like, how could this man, this devastating phenom of a man, like he's one of the greatest wrestlers of his generation. He's made of steel. His power, his explosiveness is never before seen, at that level. Yet he had razor close fights where he lost by just a hair and it went the other way, and he strung together losses. And it's like, how could that happen to such a specimen? It happens. Okay, what else we got here? Islam's resume is not that good. That's from Charles Chase. Charles Chase, I have to disagree with you. What can I say? I think that's pretty ignorant of you to say. He beat Volkanovski twice. Just that. The fact that he beat one of the pound greats. I know Volk went up a weight class, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy fight because the guy went up a weight class. It doesn't mean that, okay? And he stopped Oliveira. He stopped Poirier. He stopped Meccano. He stopped all these guys. He's winning, and he's winning in style. You see the guy who just lit up the whole show last week, Oliveira? He finished Oliveira. He knocked Oliveira down and subbed him. I mean, Oliveira just walked through Gamrot. Gamrot's a stud. He just walked through Gamrot. And Islam walked through Oliveira. Okay, so you guys just have to remember, sometimes these elite fighters, they cross paths with these phenoms, and Islam's one of those phenoms. He's been training his entire life. I love how Islam's been training his entire life with one of the best teams in the world ever. He's risen to the top, and then people are like, nah, he's not that good. It's just crazy ignorant. What else we got here? Topuria proving how good Ryan Hall was fighting him with a broken hand. That's from Alex. Well, that's true. Ryan Hall did break his hand off a punch, early. Pow! It's just... And at that time, we didn't know how good Topuria was. And of course, the guy's incredible, but we were learning a lot about him at that time. And, he's for sure not arguably one of the greatest ever, So it was definitely, looking back, Ryan didn't do that bad because so many guys couldn't even last that long with Topuria, or they had to run for their lives, Topuria is, how could I say, incredibly unique. Why? He's got that death touch, guys. He's got it. He's got that death touch in both hands. And he's smart, and he's technical, and he's well-trained. He puts in his effort. He's not riding his talent. No. The guy's training around the clock. He's improving, and he's good everywhere. He's good on the ground. He's good in wrestling. He's super fit. He's intelligent. He has strategy. The guy's got it all. So it's going to be a long time before anybody beats him. Guys, I am only doing questions on the fight. So that includes super chats, guys. If you ask me to super chat on anything else, you're going to have to wait. Charles just called out Max for the BMF. Who wins? I've got Max. His pace, his chin, volume might be too much for Oliveira. What do you think? That's from Yahya. Yeah, that's a really good... I heard they're going to do the BMF. That's a tough one to call, man. That's a really tough one to call. Eesh. I'm going to go with Max Holloway. It's a tough one to call, but I'll go with Max Holloway on this one. Rippy, I really want to answer that question. I'll just tell you something. It takes a long time to heal, and go see a physio. This is something quite serious. Go see a physio. But, brother, you're supposed to ask me those questions after I'm done the fight analysis. God bless. Thank you very much. Restricted access. Coach, how would you improve Charles Oliveira's striking? That's from Tafara. Tafara, I would improve his boxing. I think his Muay Thai is very good, but I would improve his boxing. And I would say he exposes himself quite a bit. So he kind of runs into strikes and he kind of rolls the dice. I would try to get him to be have a little more finesse. And I would focus a little bit more on his boxing, I would say. Islam is so dominant that his resume gets worse because of it. People undervalue his wins. Totally agree, my friend. That was from Hussein. Hussein Mir, you're 100% correct. People undervalue his wins. Chat, can we appreciate Coach Zahabi on Fight Week to make time for a podcast? Truly a gentleman and a scholar. That's from Nomadic Layman. Thank you very much, Nomadic Layman. You're the gentleman and scholar. Thank you, sir. How long was Manon in camp for? That's from White Tyson. White Tyson, she's did a full training camp. So I don't want to comment on her camps because I don't comment on people who train with me, their camps and all that. Because, it makes it's kind of unprofessional. Okay, but she finished a full training camp. So, which is to be expected, of course. Charles subs Holloway. That's from Tafara. Maybe. It's possible. Very possible. That glass is huge. Yeah, you know why? Because I can never find a glass big enough, because when I drink out of a normal glass, I have to go to get the water like 10, 20 times. So when I drink from this, at least, I might have like 3 of these. At least I don't have to go to the water. Like I have a fridge, that dispenses water. I don't have to go there like 10 times in a row. Like, how do people drink out of those little tiny glasses? I need I don't know how many ounces that is, but I need to have like a 20-ounce cup at least. Hey, for us, what are your key takeaways on the ground game of... it skipped on me. Oh, where's that? Oh, here it is. This is from Wamsi. Wanzi. Hey, for us, what are your key takeaways on the ground game of Charles from a technical standpoint that made his BJJ so effective in MMA? Guys, I got to tell you, when you guys want to see BJJ for MMA, watch Oliveira. He does things so well. Number one, he has a lot of experience in jiu-jitsu and MMA. Okay, so he's been around a long time. Obviously, jiu-jitsu has been a big part of his game. When he hits the ground, he's had a lot of subs. Okay, he's had a lot of subs, a lot of finishes, a lot of great sweeps. You saw he was in the same position as DDP. DDP got caught under Shamaev in a crucifix. Tapuria catches Oliveira in a crucifix. Watch how Oliveira gets out. He gets out instantly because he's very well trained, far more well trained on his back than I would say DDP. DDP looked like kind of like a bit of a turtle on his back. Relying on a lot of strength. I love how DDP's coach is like, "Oh, we trained every position except the crucifix." It's like, dude, come on, man. If you trained every position, the crucifix, you kind of figure it out. You train every position, but that one position, I know nothing. That's not true. There's no such thing. You can't train that much. You can't train so much that if you put me in a position, I'm like 0. Okay, I'm going to improvise here. I'm going to figure something out. I'm going to shift around. Oliveira is very precise. Now, I'll tell you something. What makes his jiu-jitsu really good? He's incredibly technical. Now, he's an athletic guy. He's also an athletic guy. He's got long limbs. He's a stud. But he's technical. He knows how to shift to one hip. And when people flatten him, he knows how to shift back to another hip. So his hips are always oscillating. He's very intelligent in using his legs. You can tell he's done his time in jiu-jitsu. He's very good at attacking. He doesn't just defend. He has an attack. So here's the thing. A lot of people defend 1, defend 2, defend 3. They're playing on defense. No, you got to defend and then attack. You got to go from defensive cycle to an offensive cycle. And that's what he did with Gamrot. A lot of people just try to shrimp and hold guard and kind of wait. No, he didn't. Gamrot took him down. He started attacking the neck, attacking the arm, and then he went to omoplata. He was machine gunning. He was chaining attacks together, and it forced Gamrot. Well, Gamrot actually escapes the first sequence, and then puts him in another sequence. It's all about chaining your attacks in a sustainable way. And he defended beautifully, and then he started attacking. He did the same thing with Tapuria. He got out of the crucifix, started attacking leg lock on Tapuria. Tapuria had to get in defensive modes. Rewatch that fight, and he had a chance to even maybe take Tapuria's back, and he lost it. And then, Tapuria has to think now, if I take this guy down, this guy's attacking me back. He's not just laying there. And I find a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, they just kind of defend and they don't get into that cyclical attack. He's very good at chaining together attacks. And if you don't respect his attacks, he will finish you. Thoughts on Can Oflis rear naked choke standing? Hold on, let me just make sure I know exactly. Was that against Ramos? Is that one? Oh, yes, I saw that one. Actually, it was very nice. Very well done. Yeah, Ramos trying a leg lock, and then he missed a leg lock, and Oflis gets on top of him, and Ramos tries to get up to his feet. He jumps his back and finishes him. Beautiful finish. Really amazing. DDP is dumb, LOL. That's from Charles Chase. No. That's not what I mean. It's not what I mean. DDP is a very intelligent guy, guys. Come on, man. He became world champion. He's a stud. I'm just saying that, look, he's good on top. DDP is really good on top. Because you can be a top player. And on the bottom, maybe you're not as good. Because if you look at, like, the way Chimaev passed his guard, he took DDP down. DDP at one point lands in, like, butterfly guard. And Chimaev just pushes his hand on the knee and just steps over it quite easily, like without any barriers of defense, without DDP kind of scrambling to defend. He just kind of flopped back. But that doesn't mean he's not a good top player, because we've seen him on top and he's done quite well. Okay, he's done very well. So I would say, look, DDP's main strengths is that he's a striker. He has knockout power. He has a very good ability to take people down. Okay, so he shoots really powerful double legs. They look like NFL tackles. He has upper body throws. Sometimes he's goofed them, and sometimes he's been hot and cold. Sometimes it's a goof and it looks horrible, and sometimes it looks really good and he throws the guy on his back and it's quite impressive. And he seems to have a very strong squeeze. He's jumped on submissions and got guys, really tough, strong, athletic guys to tap. That tells me he has a very strong squeeze. Now, what did he look like on his back? Well, he was under Chimaev. Chimaev's not an easy guy to deal with. Okay, so I would tell you this is a really, really big and difficult test. But still, it seemed like his bottom game was a little bit more limited than his top game. His top game looks really solid, but we never saw him on top really. A little bit. We saw him on top of Chimaev a little bit, and Chimaev was even able to get out. So I would say Chimaev is just too much of a grappler. Bottom or top, he's going to get his way against a DDP. DDP could benefit from improving his jiu-jitsu, getting a jiu-jitsu expert to kind of help him with his top and bottom game. Does Charles submit Islam out of 10 fights? That's from GG Lee. Maybe once out of 10. Maybe once, but not twice. I don't think twice. I think they fight 10 times, he gets one sub. Even then, I think it's going to be rare. It's going to be unlikely, but I'll give you one. All right, guys. I think Oliveira BJJ is more diverse than Damian Maia. Do you think overall is better? That's from Eduardo Sanchez. That's a tough one. Because I'll tell you something. A lot of Oliveira's success comes from his striking as well, because he knocks guys silly. He's got power. He's got pressure. He's got phenomenal kicks, knees, elbows, punches. Like he's really much more effective than Damian Maia on the feet. Much more. You saw Gamrot. Gamrot's like, I can't strike with this guy. Every time I take him down, he's making me defend the takedowns. He looked lost. Damian, everybody wants to trade with Damian. Everybody. Why? Guys, no disrespect to Damian Maia. I'm a huge fan of Damian Maia, but he's not known for his punching power. He's not. I know guys who fought him. I've trained guys who fought him, and they told me, like, he's not a hard hitter. Sometimes the guy could be stiff. He's not a very good boxer, but when he hits you, he could be stiff. The shot could be stiff. And when asked, they're like, no, it's not stiff. He's not a hard puncher at all. So I'll tell you, he's not known for power punching. He's not known for his hard strikes, kicking. He's not known for it. So it takes away that pressure of like, oh, I don't want to trade with the guy. Because you saw Gamrot not wanting to trade with Oliveira. He was circling. Is like, man, this guy's he's dangerous. What do I do? Well, you shoot on him, then you're in a whirlwind of submission attempts, and you're like scrambling, and you're like, the guy had my back. There seems to be nowhere to go. And then worse, Oliveira takes you down. So I would say he's a lot better than Damien ever was. Damien was a great fighter, but not at the level of Charles Oliveira. Now, strictly their ground game, I'd rather have Oliveira on top of me than Damian Maia, because Damian Maia's position is so solid. It's going to be harder to get out from underneath him. On the bottom, I would say Oliveira is more aggressive, more scary. And because the thing is, Damian Maia on the bottom, he was a little bit more predictable. All he really does is he goes to half guard and wrestles up from single leg. So he wasn't as scary in terms of submissions off his back. Tuxedo Mask says Gamrot is a bum. Tuxedo Mask, I have to greatly disagree. Gamrot is a killer. He had a bad fight. He lost against a guy who was former world champion, one of the legends of the sport. He had a bad fight. He's going to come back stronger. He's going to go back on a win streak. The guy's a stud. He's a killer. He's a great mixed martial artist. He beat Armin. Goodness sakes, man. He has a win over Armin. Think about that. He has a win over one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world today. And now everybody's going to dismiss him. That's what I say. People always do that. When somebody has a bad fight, they all dismiss him. Well, let me tell you something. The best of the best fighters all have bad fights. That's what I like. It's going to happen sooner or later. Alex Pereira is going to have a bad fight sooner or later. George St. Pierre had a bad fight. Anderson Silva is going to have a bad fight. You know, they were showing his fight with Chris Weidman. You know, Chris beat him fair and square. But I forgot about how much Anderson Silva was taunting Chris Weidman. And he was like picking and poking and like putting his hands down and dancing. And every time Chris would like kick him, he'd be like, yeah, come on, hit me some more. And he was like goofing off so much. He was like, whoa. We were watching it recently and I was like, what is he doing? That's crazy. And then of course, pow! For those of you who are new in MMA, it was one of the biggest upset in UFC history. But the champ, Anderson Silva, at that time, the champ was clowning around. And I think it's because he felt the speed of Chris and he was like, oh, I'm going to win this. Wrong, man. Wrong. Chris was just getting warmed up. Chris is just measuring you. Chris is a very intelligent guy. You know, I've trained with him. I trained with him just before that fight actually as well, you know. Chris is a very, very dangerous man, both standing and on the ground. And I can't believe Anderson Silva. Rewatching it, I didn't remember like it was that much goofing off. You know, I hate to say goofing off. He was trying to psych Chris Weidman out, and Chris wasn't having it. Coach, do you think Jiri could ever beat Alex? That's from Emmanuel. No, not for like years. It'll be 2-3 years, if then. Because for Jiri to beat Pereira would have to be like falling off. Like he's not training. He's traveling too much. He's doing movies. He's not paying attention. He doesn't care to be champion too much anymore. He's getting their paychecks, you know. Because the thing is, he's doing a lot of traveling. Like, you see him everywhere. But even then, I still think Pereira beats him. Pereira would really have to get, like, in the show business. And you see him, he's, like, you know, barely training. And, yeah, he's booking fights, but he doesn't really care. Then maybe Jiri can catch him. But other than that, a focused Pereira, it will take years before Jiri gets a win on him. Years. And I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see them book Jiri Pereira 3. I don't think anybody wants to see that. I think Jiri needs to keep winning and keep fighting, keep competing, but I don't think he gets a crack at the champ now. Gordon Ryan said it would take a year of working with him for DDP to be competent against Chimaev. Shows the power of grappling. Start your kids early, folks. That's from Nomadic Layman. Yeah, it would take some time, but I don't know, man. Look, it could, if he gets a really good training, it could be within a year, but look, it can be done. It can be done. He can get competitive with Chimaev. Absolutely can be done. DDP is he's game, he's experienced. He needs someone to help guide him through the landscape of what Chimaev does. Somebody who understands what Chimaev is doing. But I'll tell you something, it's no easy task. It can happen, but it's no easy task. It's really no easy task. All right, guys, I'm going to open it up now to ask me anything. We can take the gloves off now. I had one of the guys earlier asking me about some kind of intercostal injury. I would tell you guys, when you have a serious injury like that, go see a physiotherapist. Or if you're experienced with injuries like me, I just kind of wait it out. But it shouldn't be like, if the pain is 9 out of 10, go see a specialist. Go get an X-ray. Go see a physio. But if it's like a 5 out of 10, and you're experienced with injuries, you can kind of just take it easy for a while, not do much. I would say swimming pool, stuff like that, because it's a very serious injury. You don't want to mess around that. You can't lift weights. You can't really do much. You shouldn't drill. You shouldn't do too much. Okay, just like wait till the pain is dulled to like 3 or 4 on 10, and then you could start doing a bit of technique, lifting weights gently, like nothing heavy, and start back slowly. But if your pain is anything above a 7 on 10, go see a specialist immediately. All right, guys, I'm opening it up to ask me anything. What advice would you give to Jiri? That's from Tuxedo Mask. Well, if I was training Jiri, I'd want to put him in a boxing club, like teach him how to box, like seriously, like a real boxer. He has his hands down. I understand that's his thing. I understand that's his shtick, his MO, but I would want to fix that. I don't want to experiment with some different guards. He took way too much damage with Khalil, way too much damage. And in my opinion, that's like entertaining. It's fun. People love you for it, but it's not sustainable as a career path. So I'd want to fix up his boxing for sure. Coach, what do you think about the Bible claiming the universe is 6,000 to 10,000 years old? That's from Frank. Frank, you know what? I'll tell you something. There are some people who are young earth creationists, but it's not everybody. Not all Christians and Jewish people believe that. Now, a lot of them do. That's the thing. It's kind of scary. A lot of them believe that the world is 6,000 years old, and I obviously don't believe that. I think that's an unsustainable claim. It's unsustainable. Their arguments sometimes are quite astonishing. Like I heard one very serious thinker, named James White, very, very intelligent. He takes the Bible. He takes the Bible literally in every sense, and he believes the earth is 6,000 years old. And the reason why, for those of you who don't know, the reason why they say that is because they give you, in the gospel, they give you the genealogy of Jesus, and if you do the math, it's about 6,000 years old, because it goes all the way back to Adam, alayhi salam. Okay, so you have the genealogy of Jesus, alayhi salam, and it goes back to Adam, and it gives you everybody's age, most of people's age. And of course, even if you just do it with the Old Testament, because they give you the age of every prophet, and they tell you, look, Adam was created here, and bam, so therefore, if you do the math, we're 6,000 years old. So if you show them a rock, well, like not a rock, but if you show them a fossil and be like, hey, see this fossil? It's 12 million years old. A very serious thinker like James White, one time he said in a debate with a scientist, he said, well, that's assuming that time is uniform. So meaning the earth is 6,000 years old, but time is not uniform. So meaning the earlier years, they were worth more. He said something along to that effect. I'm like, yes, or the earth is much older than 6,000 years old, because 6,000 years old is literally like yesterday. Like, that's nothing. The universe is, the known universe, not the universe, the known universe is 15 billion years old. And there's a great reason why they say it's 15 billion years old. They didn't pull that number out of the hat. Okay, and I'm rounding up to 15 billion. It's actually a little less than that, but I'm rounding it up. Okay, so it's safe to round up. Physicists round up all the time. Okay, mathematicians round up all the time. It's actually 13 point something billion, and they round it up to 15. Okay. The known universe is about 15 billion years old, and that has to do with light, because they track light, how far light has expanded. And when they play it backwards, they realize, hey, the known universe is about 15 billion years old, because they know the speed of light. So if you play it backwards, you can see how far it traveled. You know how fast it's been traveling. So by the distance it traveled, you know how much time it's been traveling. You know the age. But James White is not wrong in saying that if time isn't uniform, which we know it isn't, time is relative, it could be because time is relative. So I would say, look, I don't think it disproves the Bible, so I wouldn't say it because time is relative, and it's not logically impossible. But if you ask me, I don't think the world is 6,000 years old. Okay, I just see too much evidence to the contrary. And there's an abundance amount of evidence, an abundance amount, because 6,000 years old is like really nothing. It's like in the history of time, that's like not even a weekend. Okay, so it's not even a weekend. It's literally like a minute. So I think it's just ad hoc. They're trying to add these ideas because it doesn't correspond to reality, what the Bible says. But I would think, look, the Bible's full of errors, full of mistakes, full of inaccuracies, and we can find many others that just are not reconcilable with what we observe. It's crazy. How, like, if you look at Genesis has two creation stories, and the two creation stories are not concise. One of them, man is made first, the other one, the earth is made first. So which one is it? Because they give you the chronology of creation. In one of them, man is made before the animals, and the other creation story, animals are made before man. So which one is it? Can't be both. So there's inconsistencies. It's not possible that the Bible is inerrant. It's impossible. So I just find it to be like, just what's wrong with saying, hey, that's just another error. It's just another inconsistency, because there's so many. And even James White will admit that there are inconsistencies. Like the gospel quotes Jesus Christ as saying, the mustard seed is the smallest seed in all the world. The mustard seed is not the smallest seed in all the world. We know that as a fact. So in the gospel, Jesus Christ is talking about the mustard seed. He says the mustard seed is the smallest of the world. Now, I've heard Christian apologists try to remedy that claim, and nobody can. At the end of the day, they're like, oh, well, it was the smallest known seed to the people at the time, but still not a fact that it's a small seed in all the world, because he says all the world. He didn't say it's the smallest seed in all of our world, or all of Jerusalem, or all of the Middle East. No, he said the whole world, it's the smallest seed. So how do they reconcile that? They can't. It's just factually incorrect. So if you have one factually incorrect statement and another factually incorrect statement, and Luke and Matthew say Jesus was born under two different rulers. Okay, he was born at the time of one ruler, and Luke says, no, he's born at the time of this ruler. They can't be born under two rulers at the ruling same nation. So there are for sure inconsistencies. Why not say, okay, look, this is one more inconsistency? Why? Coach, are you going to trust scientists or God? That's from Tuxedo. I would tell you, look, it's man that wrote those things. Man interfered with the Bible, the original Bible. Now, original Bible, yeah, I would tell you it's from God, but yeah, man interfered. Man tried to rewrite it by memory, because don't forget, the Bible was illegal at one point. The enemies of the Jews burned the Bible, so they had to put it by memory. It was an illegal book for many periods throughout history. Sean Korvaki says, hello, Coach. What does it mean when you say alayhi salam after a name of biblical figures? That just means peace be upon them, okay? Because we say, we keep their respect. We keep their respect. Muslims, whenever we talk about a prophet, we say, because they're not with us no more, they're not on the earth anymore, so we say alayhi salam, peace be upon them. It's a endearment, respect. Coach, have you looked into Christian Zionism and the dispensationalist doctrine? I'm not familiar with dispensationalist doctrine, but Christian Zionism, no, I'm very familiar with Christian Zionism. Dude, some don't believe in dinosaurs. They think dinos are demons. That's from 7-6. Yeah, well, how do you explain all the dinosaur bones? There's a museum in America where they have human beings riding dinosaurs, and they're trying to depict that human beings and dinosaurs live together, etc. Guys, from between dinosaurs and human beings, there was about, if I remember correctly, 40 million years. 40 million years. Let me double check that. I think 60 million years or 40 million years. I'm forgetting my timeline here. Dinosaurs and humans. 66 million years. There's approximately 66 million years between the extinction of dinosaurs and the emergence of human beings. 66 million years. Okay, so I was off. I'm happy I double checked that because I had 40 in my head. 66 million years. Think about that, how long that is. 66 million years. Think about how many times the sun rising and setting. The water cycle, the winds blowing, rising and setting. Between the dinosaur and human beings. That's such a crazy amount of time. It's a massive amount of time. There's no connection between human beings and dinosaurs. And it's crazy. They made a museum of human beings and dinosaurs. Oh, I don't know what to say, man. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Coach, Bitcoin or gold? That's from Lando. Lando, my deepest conviction is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to crush every asset in the history of man. Are the Muslims Zionists? That's from Tuxedo Mask. Well, not in the way we... Look, the word Zionism has changed over time, okay? It's changed over time. Now it means something totally different than what it used to mean, okay? And I'm quoting Noam Chomsky when I say that, okay? Zionism has changed over time. Yes, the Muslims historically always, not sometimes, always brought the Jews back to Jerusalem. So, of course, we welcome the Jewish people in Jerusalem. Of course, that's part of their religion's part of our religion for them to be there. What the dispute about is not whether Jewish people belong in Israel or Jerusalem or whatnot. It's not that. The dispute is about you can't take somebody's home from them because you're Jewish and they're not. That's the dispute. Okay, so Arabs are not anti-Jewish. If it was Chinese or blacks or whites or Portuguese or Italians taking our homes, we'd want to defend ourselves against them. And then you'd say, oh, you're anti-Italian. It has nothing to do with being Italian. It's the fact the guy's pointing a gun at me, he wants my home. That's the problem. Okay, so it's thou shalt not steal the problem, not what's your religion, race, or creed. That's irrelevant. Okay, don't forget, guys, when Jerusalem was conquered by the Muslims, Omar bin Khattab, the Christians were ruling Jerusalem at the time, and they had completely mass erased, I'll use that term, any Jewish presence. Okay, so you guys get what I'm saying. They deleted the people that celebrate Hanukkah. They deleted them. I got to make sure, I say gently here because there's an algorithm I have to respect. And they destroyed their temple fully. Okay, they used it as a garbage. The Romans destroyed the temple, but they used it as a garbage site. And the Muslims famously, when they came and they conquered Jerusalem, they not only respected the Jewish presence, they also respected the Christian presence. Why? Because when they conquered Jerusalem, Omar bin Khattab, okay, you have to remember, Omar bin Khattab, he walked with the Prophet ﷺ. He understands the interpretation of the Quran. He understands the mission of Islam more than, his IQ is number one scholar, okay, number one. We can't question him, okay. Now, he doesn't have divine revelation. He's not perfect, but when I tell you, when it comes to scholars, he's number one, okay, among other men who could be equal as number one, but nobody higher, okay. So you have the Prophet, and then you have his Sahaba, his immediate Sahaba. These are all number one scholars. Okay, so there's equal to Omar, but not higher than Omar other than the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, so Omar, when he conquers Jerusalem, he's asked to go pray in the church alongside a Christian, the Christian monk. And he says, I can't do that because the first place I pray, they're going to turn that into a mosque eventually. So I don't want your church to be turned into a mosque. Because when I die, they're going to come, the Muslims are going to come and where's the first place he prayed? They're going to turn that into a mosque. And I respect your church. I want your church to survive. So he prayed somewhere else. He's like, I'm going to pray here. That way they'll erect a mosque here. And that's true because today we have the mosque of Omar. It's in the first place he prayed. So by not praying in the church, he was preserving the church. And then when he saw that the temple was being used as a garbage dump, scholars report that he literally used his own hands to take out the trash, and the Muslims all started together. They cleansed the temple of the Jews, and they invited the Jews to come live in Jerusalem. He bought 80 colonies. He bought 80 Jewish families to start a colony to bring the Jews back to Jerusalem. And of course, Jerusalem was conquered again by the Christians, and they deleted all our friends that celebrate Hanukkah, and the Muslims too. Okay, they deleted when the Crusaders came to capture Jerusalem. They deleted not only our friends that celebrate Hanukkah, not only the Muslims, but also the Christian Armenian, also the non-Catholic Christians. They deleted them. And then Salahuddin conquers Jerusalem again. So what happens? Religious diversity. And then the Crusaders come back again and they delete everybody. Again, they delete all the Muslims. They delete all our friends that celebrate Hanukkah. They delete all the Armenians, all the non-Catholic denominations. The Christian scholars wrote famously, they had deleted 70,000 Muslims. And they say the blood was to the knees. It's a very famous passage. The blood was to the knees and we cleansed their blasphemy with this blood. Salahuddin conquers Jerusalem again. I'm telling you, this fight for Jerusalem is never ending. Like the Muslims conquered it, then the Christians, and the Muslims and the Christians, and it's just a seesaw battle. And then the Ottomans conquer it. So the Muslims had control of Jerusalem for a very long time, for like 800 years with the Ottomans. And we always had Jewish presence, always. Every time the Muslims conquered Jerusalem, the Jews were allowed in. Every time the Christians conquered Jerusalem, guys, this is facts, okay? It's not my opinion. This is facts. Christians will admit it themselves. They deleted everybody. Okay, so you know, there's a very interesting movie called Kingdom of Heaven. It's the battle between Salahuddin and Richard Lionheart, and they're fighting over Jerusalem. And at the end, Salahuddin wins. The Muslims win. And the Christians are like, well, when we conquered it, we killed you all. You know, why aren't you massacring us? And Salahuddin says, oh, we're not you. We're not you. That's it. It's not part of our tradition to murder because it's haram. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ said, when you conquer a land, you only fight the government. You don't fight the people. The people own their rights. They own their land. They own their property. They can maintain their religion. We had different rules than the Christians. Okay, now I don't think the Crusaders followed Christianity like it's supposed to be. I don't think Christianity is a bloodthirsty, demonic religion or anything like that. I wholeheartedly don't think that at all. But I do think that the Pope Urban II, okay, he's the famous Pope who initiated the Crusades. I think he used religion as a weapon. You know, he said, look, he said a lot of things. I'm not going to get into it, but he basically said, look, if you fight in this war, you're absolutely absolved. All your sins are absolved. You're going to heaven guaranteed. Just fight in my war. And it was like, I never read in the Bible anywhere where it says that, hey, if you fight on command, your sins are completely washed out. So he's promising man heaven. It's like, go fight in this war. You're going to go to heaven. Guaranteed. I guarantee it's a lock. Doesn't matter what you do. So these Crusaders were like, oh, we have carte blanche. We can do whatever we want. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. As long as you're fighting for us, do whatever you want and you're getting into heaven. So what happens to a bunch of men when you tell them you could do anything you want? Well, we got all sorts of madness during the Crusades. As I get older, I try to avoid fights as much as I can, as much as possible on the streets. But how much disrespect should one take as a man before getting physical? That's from Adam Rogers. Adam Rogers, that's a heavy question, man. Well, look, I try to avoid physical contact at all costs. But like, let's say you feel disrespected. Let's just say like you had enough. I wouldn't fight the guy on the street. I'd be like, hey man, you know what? You got a beef with me. You got a problem. Let's do this legally. Let's go in this gym. Let's take a day pass. Let's glove up and let's just get this done. You know, like you have such a problem with me. That way, at least it's legal. Nobody gets seriously hurt. And, you know, it'll end your beef, you know, because even if you don't beat the guy or if you do beat the guy, whatever, he's not going to mess with you again. He's not going to want to go through that again and again, you know. So, I mean, things can go wrong. That's for sure, you know, but at least you'd be doing it legally. And I really recommend you do it legally. Like if you feel like, hey, I can't take any more disrespect, well, tell the guy, hey man, you got a problem with me? Look, I'm getting sick of you. I'm trying to avoid conflict with you, but you're really looking for me. Okay, let's do it, man. Let's get in the ring. Let's put on some gloves and, you know, like, you want a piece of me? Let's do it. You know, but at least nobody's going to get seriously hurt. You're going to end up in a courtroom, etc. Guild Wars #1 in Guild Wars 1 in 2025 says, Coach, it's my friend's birthday. Can you shout out to Hugh? I'm not going to say it. You see, you thought you were going to troll me, Guild Wars. You thought, but you missed. You missed, friend. There was some type of creatures, but it's funny seeing how they just make up all these facts and colors and depictions of dinosaurs that we later say are inaccurate, like Jurassic Park. That's from Azan. Azan, yeah, there's some imagination, like the color of the skin and whatnot, but they admit to that, but we found the bones. So they had skins. They have feathers. Did they have skin? Was it like a lizard? What's the color of lizard skin? Well, it could be these shades of colors. They are putting some guesswork into the physical facts, but there are a lot of physical facts that are robust. So they're just filling in the blanks, and it's known. It's not like it's a secret. Okay. Coach, if a young man is 33 years old and wants to compete before 35, do you think it's possible with little to no MMA experience? That's from Hash. Hash, I would say it's really tough. I would start slower. You don't need to rush. You don't have to make it before 35. I think you should just train, do it for fun, and compete at little MMA shows, like little amateur shows, and do it for fun and kind of build from there. Rushing, in my opinion, it's just it's a recipe for injury. So a lot of people, they kind of like feel, the clock is ticking. People are staying younger for longer now, more than ever. Okay, so you got more time than you think. Okay, so I will tell you, don't rush, get it done right. Coach, do you think Muslim countries who were once Christian have a right to fight to regain their Christian identity again? ? Like Egypt, Libya, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, etc. Palestine, I guess you wrote. That's from Arizona. Well, look, I don't think there's a time for fighting anymore. Okay, I'll tell you, I think the age for fighting is done. Why? Because in the ancient world, in the medieval world, if you wanted to tell people about something, if you wanted to like change the way of the world, you had to fight. Okay, but now we don't need to anymore. We have now, we all have mass communication. We have the internet, we have the exchange of ideas like never before. Ideas are being exchanged on the internet like never before. And by the way, there's Christian communities in all these places you mentioned. Okay, there's millions of Christians in Egypt, and they've been there for generations. Why? Because the Muslims respect the Christians. I think there's like 20, maybe 15 million Coptic Christians. Hold on a second. Let me ask ChatGPT to double check. Okay. Hey, chat, how many Christians in Egypt? Is it 10 million or 20 million?
So right now, there are roughly around 11 million Christians in Egypt, which is about 10% of the population. So it's closer to that 10 million mark than 20 million.
Okay, so it's 10 million. I couldn't remember off the top of my head, but 10 million is a massive amount of Christians, and they're protected. So if you want to be Christian, you can be Christian. You can. It's not an issue. However, fighting for Christianity, well, then we'd have to say this. I'd have to ask you this, okay? Because I understand there's a lot of Christians out there. What happened to all the pagans when Christianity spread? So think about it. You had Christianity in Rome, a small sliver of Christians, and an ocean of pagans. They're surrounded by pagans. The majority of the world was pagan. Then Christianity goes on the rise and erases paganism. Christianity erases paganism. Now, do you say, hey, the pagans have a right to fight back now? Hey, 2,000 years later, should the pagans start rallying? Do the pagans have communities? No, they don't. They don't. Okay, they didn't survive under Christianity. Paganism becomes illegal. Now, I'm not saying paganism survived under Islam at all. No, Islam and Christianity wanted to get rid of paganism. Okay, now there's a lot of reasons why Islam and Christianity wanted to get rid of paganism, and so did Judaism. Okay, Judaism is not friendly to paganism at all. Okay, you have to remember the pagans also had rituals, like They would sacrifice their daughters. They would do child sacrifice. I don't know if you notice the theme, but if you study the Abrahamic religions, it's all about don't sacrifice human beings. Why are they giving that message? Don't sacrifice, don't sacrifice, don't sacrifice. No sacrificing human beings. Why? Because the pagans sacrificed human beings. When Abraham alayhi salam is told to take his son and sacrifice him, and then he's given a goat instead, and he sacrifices the goat, that was like, okay, if Abraham, the most holiest guy, didn't sacrifice his son, I'm not going to sacrifice my son. Okay, because the ancient mind, they thought, hey, if a lot of bad things are happening to me, the crops aren't growing, my wife left me, there's disease, God wants something from me. I have to sacrifice what I love so he'll give me good fortune. That was a prevalent belief in the medieval and ancient world. So when you're reading the Bible, you're studying Abraham doesn't sacrifice his son and God blesses him. So God doesn't want your sacrifice. If Abraham didn't sacrifice his son, and Abraham's the most important person in the book, he's the father of our religion, who am I to sacrifice my son? So they all copy Abraham. So we made a shift from sacrificing children, sacrificing virgins, sacrificing young babies, move away from that, and now we're not sacrificing any human being. We're going to sacrifice livestock now instead. So the Abrahamic religions were here to put an end to human sacrifice, a complete end, and wash that. Of course, worshipping idols and human sacrifice was wiped out. So now Christianity is overtaken by Islam in many parts of the world. You're 100% right. But now listen, we converted to Islam. Like, I'm Lebanese. We converted to Islam. I'm happy we converted to Islam. Why? Well, I personally don't believe in any religion tells me I have to worship a man. Because if you look at the Abrahamic religions, that's what it was there for. Because Caesar said he's God. Alexander the Great said he's God. Zeus, they say Zeus is God. They say every man who's a top, most powerful guy, oh, he's God. And then, oh, Pharaoh is God. And everybody who reaches power starts to say he's God. Think about the story of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, they want to eat from the fruit of knowledge, of eternal life, of good and evil. You have the knowledge of good and evil. The tree of good and life, eternal life, as it says in the Quran. If you want to eat from the tree of knowledge or eternal life, that means you want to become eternal. You want to become like God. You want to reach God level. And you want to take that power. You want to compete with God. So the man wants to be God. That's the biggest sin. That's the start of all sin. Don't try to say you're God. The Pharaoh did it. Alexander the Great did it. They deify him. They say he's son of God or part of God. Like when he dies, he's going to go up and be with God. He's a legend. He's now, his face is everywhere. His name is everywhere. They bring them from human to between us and God, like he's higher up. Because don't forget, in the ancient world, when they said God, they didn't mean Almighty God. That's the thing. A lot of people don't understand the jargon of that day. Many people are referred to as God, but it's not meant Almighty God. A God can be an angel, a prophet, a representative of God, somebody who's given authority by the Almighty God. So the gospel and or the Hebrew Bible will refer to somebody as God, but it doesn't mean Almighty God. Almighty God is a name for what me and you will call the one true God. So you have to understand that man has oftentimes tried to say he's God or try to elevate himself to the level of God. And Judaism and Islam say, no man is ever God. Ever. In any sense of the word. And me, when I read the gospel, I tell you, even the authors of the gospel are not saying Jesus is God. There's nowhere in the gospel, in my opinion, and this is my opinion. A lot of people think the opposite, obviously. But a lot of scholars also agree with what I'm saying, because I'm using a scholarly opinion here. Jesus is never presented as the Almighty God. According to Paul, he's on the same level as God, which is crazy to me because by definition, nobody can be on the same level as God. Think about it. By definition, if you're God, that means nobody's on your level. That's what the word God means. We can't conceive of anybody greater than you. What's the definition of God? The most greatest conceivable idea possible. There's nothing higher, nothing equal. Because if something's equal, that thing is not God. The original. If you say, okay, this is God, but here's this equal thing, it can't be. Then this is not God. The original statement can't be God. It's like when Richard Dawkins fumbled the ball. He's like, oh well, if God if God exists, who created God? Well, if He's created, He wouldn't be a God. John Lennox really lit him up. John Lennox, a mathematician and philosopher, he's like, hey, you don't understand the definition of God. By definition, God can't be created. By definition, God cannot be equalized by anybody. So any religion tells me that man is God, or God has an equal, or God is a plurality, for me, it can't be true. I reject that religion. It goes against my innate understanding of God. I'm born with the innate understanding of God. Nothing could ever be equal or higher than God. Especially not man. Especially like in the Christian tradition, they say, oh, this Jewish guy, he's your God. Worship him. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Thank you. I pass. Hard pass. Hard pass. Thank you. No, thank you. And in the Jewish tradition, they tell you, never worship a man. In the Muslim tradition, never worship a man. But in the Christian tradition, they say, never worship a man, except with this one exception. This man right here, alayhi salam, Jesus alayhi salam, which I think is a later innovation. A much later innovation. The earliest Christians, they didn't worship Jesus Christ as God. Bart Ehrman actually writes a book, How Jesus Became God, because he's saying his earliest followers, they didn't see him as the one true God. They saw him as the representative of God on earth. Jazakallah khair and a grateful 19. Thank you very much. Coach, I have my first kickboxing fight in 2 weeks. I have 2 fights in MMA. Any advice for the transition? That's from Tafara. Tafara, you know what? In the last round, I'll give you a tip. Because you don't have to worry about takedowns. In the last round of your fight, don't take a step back. Just move forward. Statistically speaking, you have more chance to win. So when it comes to round 3, if round 1 and 2 was close, round 3, fight without taking a single step backwards. Coach, I have a thought experiment for you. I'm studying philosophy, just a white belt. But I feel like I have heard a contradiction in something you once said. I mean this respectfully, of course. Okay, well, just bar. Thank you, man. But go for it, man. Fire away. Don't worry about it. You don't have to be so apologetic. Just go ahead and tell me. All right, gentlemen, fire something away. Were the Arab pagans originally of the Ishmaelites, but taking of false gods, similar/parallel related to the golden calf stuff, ultimately resulted in them falling into paganism? That's from Azan. No, those who worship the golden calf, that was from Isaac's side. Ishmael is a different lineage. And yes, the Ishmaelites, because they were mimicking the Romans, don't forget they were neighbors with the Romans. The Romans were very successful, so they were like, hey, why don't we worship their gods? And they started to worship a few Roman gods, and it started to trickle down, and they were jealous of the Romans. They had an envy of the Romans because the Romans were building aqueducts and massive structures. So when they visited Rome, they're like, wow, what is this, man? These guys are on another level. So Arabia, we even know who the first pagans were. Arabia is quite well documented. And the first pagans fell into worshiping certain Roman gods, and then trickled down from other areas, and full-blown paganism. Mecca now is full-blown pagan. And then, of course, as the event of Islam comes and brings the Ishmaelites back to monotheism. Coach, why didn't you coach Font his last fight? That's from Adam Rogers. Adam, he was supposed to fight Raul, and so he was working with Gary Tonin. They were getting ready for the grappling exchanges, etc. Then they switched him to fighting a striker. Now, of course, I'll be happy to help him, but he was with my trainer John. Sometimes we travel and stuff like that. So he was just working to get ready for a heavy grappling match. And then the week of the fight, they switched it. They switched it to him fighting a striker. So we were working together again. I was supposed to be in his corner as well, but I had a scheduling conflict. I had too many things going on, so I had to cancel that flight, that trip. But I sent I can't be everywhere all the time. So there's a lot of fights going on. But in the near future, the next fight, I'm sure we'll be doing a full training camp together, and I'll be helping him as best I can. Is the jizya not a contradiction of the Abrahamic principle of equality? That's from Jess Bar. No, it's not a contradiction. Jizya is just a tax, a secular tax. So if you're Muslim, you pay zakat, but that's a religious duty. So if you're not Muslim, we can't force you to pay zakat because that would be going against your religion. So we charge you jizya. Guys, don't forget, jizya is like a very minimal tax, very minimal. And if you're non-Muslim and you're too old to pay jizya, you don't have to pay jizya. If you're too poor to pay jizya, you don't pay jizya. If you're too weak to work and if you have any disability, you don't, there's so many exceptions, or how do you say it? So many, I forget how to say it, but there's so many reasons why you don't have to pay jizya. It wasn't forced unless you're able to pay jizya and you benefit from society. Think about it. Look, do I pay taxes in Canada? Of course I do. If I didn't want to pay taxes, would I have to? Of course I would. And it's a secular tax. Why? Because I ride on the roads. And don't forget, when you pay jizya, you don't have to fight in any wars. The Muslims protect you. Mongol invasion, don't worry about it. We got this. We're going to fight them on the front lines, and if we die, we die. You paid your jizya, you're good. So you're getting so much for so little. Okay? And the jizya is far less tax often than the surrounding empires. So they were happy when Islam came. Why? Because the taxes were far less. The only people who were not happy when Islam came are the elites. The elites were not happy. Why? Because Muslims are coming and taking us out of government. Let's ask chat here, okay? Let's see. Hey, chat, in early Muslim expansion, were people happy that Islam arrived, or were they upset that Islam arrived, or was it a mixed bag?
Hey there. So the reaction to early Muslim expansion was definitely a mixed bag. It really depended on the region and the local circumstances. In some areas, people were actually somewhat welcoming, especially if they had been under oppressive rule before and saw the new rulers as a bit more lenient or fair. In other places, of course, there was resistance or unrest because, it's a new authority coming in. So it was a bit of a spectrum, and it really depended on local context.
Did the poor benefit?
In quite a few cases, yes, the poor did see some benefits under early Muslim rule. One notable aspect was the introduction of certain social welfare systems like zakat, which is a form of almsgiving that was one of the pillars of Islam. This meant that there was a structured system to support those in need, which could be a relief for poorer populations. Of course, how much they benefited varied from place to place and depended on how the new rulers implemented these systems, but overall, there were definitely cases where the poor saw some improvements.
It's quite a complex history, but there was definitely a large group of poor that were welcoming to Islam. Why? Because taxes were cheaper. They didn't care who ruled. We just want to pay less taxes. Black Ghost 93, thank you for the donation. Oh, no, there's actually at first it came out blank, but there's actually a comment on it. So Black Ghost says, Coach, you and Jake Paul walk into a room. Who comes out alive? Come on, man. That's a silly question. Come on, man. You know who comes out alive. Come on. No, I actually like Jake Paul. I wouldn't want to beef with him. I love the fact that he helped Ben Askren get back on his feet, and he supported him in his time of need. I actually have a lot of respect for Jake. So shout out to Jake for looking after Ben Askren. That for me, I thought was incredible. Coach, I play tennis twice every week and do cardio. I do strength training once a week. Should I take 125, 150 grams of protein? Yes, definitely. That's from Redwood. I would tell you everybody out there should take 100 grams of protein minimum a day. Minimum. So the fact that you're training, you should definitely get to 150, 125. If you can do it, go for it. 100%, you're on the right track. There are 3 ways a country can become a country. 1, they were always there. 2, negotiation. 3, war. I'm not sure if that's the only 3 ways. I'd have to think about it. But yeah, that's pretty much. You could use force, or you can immigrate slowly. So I would say also immigration. So over time, people immigrate to a country. They start to populate that country over time, and they kind of start to change the landscape of the country, the culture of the country, and a new country now emerges and morphs into a new. They fashion themselves. Now, don't forget, there's also coups. So I would say that's war, that's force. Yeah, I would say also mass migration also is another one. Coach, how much should you train in a day to go big in MMA, and how much should you train wrestling in week? Good luck to your brother's fight. Thank you. That's from Know It All. Thank you very much, Jaco. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. I would say, look, you got to train wrestling. I like to drill wrestling a little bit every day. So in my grappling, I do a little wrestling drilling. But you should go hard in wrestling. I would say twice a week, not too much. Like it's rough on the body. 2-3 times a week. Sometimes you dial it back down to 1. Between 1 and 3, depending how your body feels. You also ask, how should you train in a day to go big in MMA? Look, you'd have to train twice a day. I would say 1 session is striking, 1 session is grappling and wrestling. I would say that's the ultimate mix. Coach, could I get a free membership at your gym? I was promised a membership by God 3,000 years ago. That's from Tuxedo. Tuxedo's taking a stab at the Jewish claim that they were promised that land 3,000 years ago by God, so therefore they could just take it today. Well, look, I will tell you something. Look, I agree that Jewish people belong in Jerusalem. That's not a problem for me. That's their homeland. Okay, but in their book, if you read it carefully, and it's quite obvious, it says they're not supposed to take the land until the Messiah comes to give it to them. So they're waiting on the Messiah. Don't forget, they don't believe in Jesus, so they don't take Jesus as the Messiah. So they're still waiting on the Messiah. Now, some Jewish people say they reinterpret it. They say, look, the Messiah it's an abstract figure. The Messiah could be a person, a political person, a political movement. They reinterpret it. They spiritualize it, as they say. Now, some just say, okay, well, we'll be a democracy now till he comes, and then we'll become a kingdom. Because don't forget, the Jewish people are supposed to be a kingdom. King David. His lineage is supposed to rule forever. So they're like, okay, so again, there's difference of opinion. Some say, look, we'll wait for him to come, but we'll just hang on to it for a while. We'll just hang on to this place, and then when he comes, it won't be a democracy no more. We won't need the USA. We'll throw the USA out, and King David's lineage will rule forever. So there's various opinions. That still doesn't make it okay. Why? Because the people of the Hebrew Bible are supposed to teach the world. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't murder. Don't covet your neighbor's wife. And they're doing all that to get to their state. They're stealing, they're murdering, they're killing. When you look at the 10 Commandments, that's supposed to be like, here's a summation of all the rules. Here's like the 10 golden rules of this whole book. This whole book is full of rules. 600, I'm forgetting, I think it's 14 or whatnot. But here's 10. Like, if you just had to summarize it in 10, here's the 10. And none of them are go live in Jerusalem. None of them. The 10 rules is don't lie. First of all, it's like, you're only ever going to worship one true God, the one true God of Israel. You're never going to add gods. You're never going to change God. You're always going to believe in this one God for all of eternity. You have an eternal covenant with this God. That's one. There's only one God. Don't worship. There are no other gods. That's number one. And then it's don't murder, don't cheat, don't lie, don't steal. But to get a state, you got to do all those things. You got to do all those things. You got to betray the book. So that's why. That's the real reason why. I'm not very familiar with Thomas Aquinas' specific arguments for God. I'm forgetting exactly what it were. I've been through it, but it's basically a rehashing of the the Kalam arguments, which I know a lot about, but I'm not sure which one exactly he referred to. Henry Shaw had never quit. That layoff was like Ali in his prime. Oh, it skipped on me. Where was it? Henry should have never quit. That layoff was like Ali in his prime. We missed some great fights, in my opinion. That's from Danny Burns. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have quit, but maybe also, you never know what happens in fights. You're right. He did take a layoff, and it can change a man for sure. Definitely. Adam Rogers, do you believe Sharia law would be enacted in its fullest in modern day? If you invoke all parts of any Abrahamic book, literally, it becomes problematic. No, that's from Adam Rogers. Well, Adam, go to Saudi Arabia, go to UAE. I mean, society's quite healthy there. Okay, so look, if you want to go biblical about it, what does Jesus say in the gospel? That's why I always ask my Christian friends, and I have a lot of Christian friends. I always say, look, Jesus says you're gonna know who's a prophet and who's not, who's a real one, who's not, by the fruits. By their fruits. What are the fruits? Well, what they produce. Well, look at all the Muslim countries. The lowest crime rates, the lowest in adultery, the lowest in stealing, the lowest in violent crimes, the least amount of people in jails, lowest civil crimes. Everything is low. Now look at the Christian countries. Highest murder rates. Adultery, gambling, drinking, alcohol, drug abuse. You don't have that in Arabia. You don't have the Muslim countries. Drug abuse, very low. Alcoholism, very low. Like, if you read the book of the Bible and you look at the Muslim countries and you look at the Christian countries, don't forget, we're including Latin America, Brazil, not just North America, and Europe, all the Christian countries. The most grapes, I should say. The most stealing, the most violent crime, the most killing with the thing that spits out bullets, the most drug abuse, the most alcohol abuse, the most gambling, the most crime, physical, violent, and white-collar crime. It's a crazy pandemic of violations of the book. Like, it's a crazy pandemic. And when you look at the Muslim countries, it's the lowest. It's the lowest in all these, what you would call sins in the book. All the sins, they're the lowest in Islamic countries. And people are so scared of Sharia law. Why? Because they see what the Taliban does and they think that's Sharia law. No, it's not. That's not Sharia law. That's one extreme interpretation of Sharia law. Extreme. When you go to Muslim countries, you don't see that. Okay, don't forget, that's like a sliver of Islam. Don't forget, we're 2 billion Muslims. Like, factor in all the Muslims, all of them. The Taliban, all that. That's not even 1%. It's way less. It's a fraction of a percent. A fraction. Don't make us all like them. Okay, we're not like them. Okay, in Muslim countries, and factor in especially the Asians. They have very successful societies. Very, very successful. Incredibly successful. You walk down the street, you're not worried about anybody gunning you down, raping you, stealing you, robbing you, scamming you, pickpocketing you, drugging you, whatever crazy thing you think. Even lying in Muslim countries, people don't lie. They don't have like this scam artist stuff. They don't have that. It's so rare and far few between. Like in Muslim cultures, like lying is so like this. Like, don't get me wrong, you can find things. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure if you dig in, you'll find bad Muslim. There's no doubt. Okay, but it's very far and few between. And here's the thing: when you're gonna find bad stuff, it's always like in the poorer areas where they're desperate. They need food, water. They need to break the rules. They need to and I would say this is very true about Christian countries as well. If you look in the Latin American Christian countries, where they're poor, they're gonna have a lot more crime. Whenever you have poverty, you're gonna have crime. Whether it's Muslim or Christian or atheist or secular or Buddhist or whatever, they're starving. They're hungry. They want to make it out. They want a better life like everybody else. So they're gonna resort to stealing. In poor areas, they have less access to information and education. So you're gonna have a more brutish approach. They're not gonna be super sophisticated sometimes. So they're just gonna break and steal. They're gonna break that window. They're gonna grab that jewels. It's gonna be a more direct theft. Okay, now of course, that's an overgeneralization, but I'm just saying, look, socioeconomic factors make a big difference in how people behave. Think about it. If I'm a millionaire and I have kids, why would my millionaire kids steal? They got everything. Now, if I was broke, living in the ghetto, and my kids are hungry and I can barely afford to feed them, well, they're going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go in this store and I'm really tempted to take this chocolate bar and put it in my pocket because I would love to eat this chocolate bar. I'm really hungry. It seems really delicious. My stomach's been growling for hours. I'm going to go for it. Now, why would you do that if you're born into the Trump family? All you got to do is ring a little bell and somebody brings you a tray of food. And then you could look down at people and say, oh, they're such criminals. They're so evil. No. You have a privileged life. And you have no idea what it's like to be poor. That's why I really like what I heard Barron Trump once. They were quoting Barron Trump, and he was saying, somebody had a conversation with him, and they were saying, oh, I spoke to Barron Trump, and he was like, my life is really easy. I got everything done for. Everything's been laid out for me. And I was like, wow, is that young man that well-grounded? Is he that intelligent? Because I got to give him a round of applause to Barron Trump. If that's true, that he's so grounded, he's so intelligent, that he realizes that he's more fortunate than 99.9% of the population. I remember once upon a time, one of my very rich friends called me, and he was having an argument with his wife. Now, one of my friends is super rich. Like, I'm telling you, like, if he really wanted to, he can have a private jet rich. And he treats his wife and kids like king and queens. And he's like, man, listen, you gotta talk to my wife. I'm like, what's going on? I was like, what? He's like, explain to her that we're in the elite 1%, that our lifestyle is beyond like what regular people live. And I'm like, of course, she doesn't have to hear me say that. She knows. She's like, are you serious? But I'm like, she literally goes on vacation every other month. Like, she travels everywhere she goes. Everything's paid for. She doesn't realize that most people, and I was like shocked. I was like, wow, like really? Like, she's that naive? Like, she doesn't, and we were being nice about it, of course, but I was thinking in my mind, wow, doesn't she realize? Because all her friends are rich, all her friends go on planes, all her friends have vacations, all her friends, have these fancy clothes, and he's trying to explain to her, look how blessed we are, we're lucky. And she's like, well, what do you mean? No, we don't have. She doesn't realize that not everybody lives in a nice neighborhood and has what you have. And it's mind-blowing to me, but then I'm like, hey, you know what? If she's never been outside the palace, she never really lived that life. How does she know about it? It's mind-boggling, I find. Coach, have you seen Muhammad Hijab's fight? That's from Taha. Taha, yes, I did. I watched it live, and he did a great job. Congratulations to him on a big win. Very nice win for him. Coach, did you ever finish the video about the Baha'i faith? Oh, just skipped on me again. It's the religion I was raised in and would love an unbiased opinion. That's from Prod. Yeah, I heard it was like founded by a Muslim guy. Like, I think he was a Sufi or something. I'd have to relook into it. I didn't get a chance to dive deep into it, but I'd have to revisit. I apologize. I haven't taken a deep dive. Coach, what do you think of the new laws in Texas? Every classroom must have a poster of the 10 Commandments. Love from Texas. You're a gentleman and a scholar. That's from Yosef. Yosef, thank you, man. Well, look, I'll tell you something. If in America they don't go back to the 10 Commandments, let's read the 10 Commandments, okay? They're great. They're great. All right, let's read them together, okay? They're not that complicated. Some of them are going to seem weird to you, okay? Commandment number 1, because I'll tell you this: if the Americans don't go back to the 10 Commandments, they're going to collapse. In my opinion, they're going to collapse, and I'm going to get into why, okay? Number 1, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have strange gods before me. Okay, so they're all going to believe in one God. You can't change God. You all have that one God. You all believe in that one God. And if anybody ever comes to you with another God, we're going to reject him. We believe in this one God. Now, why do you think that's important? Well, think about this, okay? When there's no God, you become an existentialist. What's an existentialist, coach? Jean-Paul Sartre says, look, life has no meaning. You give life meaning. Maybe your meaning is jiu-jitsu in life. Maybe that's what your life is all about, doing jiu-jitsu and being a part of jiu-jitsu. And one day they're going to put a nice picture of you on the wall and they're going to be like, this guy was a great jiu-jitsu guy. And now he's dead and we're all remembering him and we all salute him. And he made his life about jiu-jitsu. And then, I don't know, maybe you're a humanitarian and you're like feeding the poor all the time. And then they make a plaque on the street. They say, this man was a great human being and he took care of people and he fed them 3 times a day. He was a great man. Maybe that's your legacy. Maybe you're a great architect and you solve this architectural problem and now we could build buildings higher than we ever did and we can house people more than ever, and they make a plaque and they name the building after you and they're like, this guy was incredible. And that's what your life is. You just maybe you're just a regular Joe. You just delivered the mail your entire life and that's it. And your life was just contributing to humanity by delivering the mail. And that's existentialism. You exist first. There's no meaning to your life, but you can give it one. That can quickly turn into nihilism and or too much diversity. Okay, so if there's no God, there's no right and wrong. I'm going to make up my own set of rules. You're going to make up your own set of rules. We're going to debate forever on who's right. We're going to look how polarized America is. They can't agree whether one thing is right or wrong. Abortion, right of arms. They can't agree. Why? Because you're not a God, I'm not a God, so our opinions are equal and we keep debating forever. But as if it's written in the Bible and there's one God, if it's written in the Bible, it says this, we can't argue God said that. So it takes away a lot of, not all of, but it takes a lot of the debate away. Is sleeping with your sister wrong? Yes. How do you know that? The Bible said so. If secularism is true and you use protection and you, let's say your sister had an operation, you cannot possibly get her pregnant. Who's to say it's wrong to have two consenting adults that enjoy each other's company in that physical way? You might find it gross. I might find it gross. You might find it as an offense to nature, but somebody's going to say, what does it harm you? There's always going to be a reinterpretation of all the rules all the time. And your children are going to be so different than you that you might not even like them. Like, I'll tell you something. If the forefathers of yesterday, the ones who founded the USA, saw what the USA has become, they might not, like, I'm a big fan of John Locke. I've studied John Locke for many years. John Locke was one of the most influential people on the founding fathers. He popularized liberalism. And I'll tell you something, if John Locke saw what liberalism is today, he would be freaking out. He didn't think women should be so on the forefront of civilization, etc. He was a very conservative Christian with liberal ideas, but these liberal ideas ran amok. They've become a monster now. I'm telling you guys something. If John Locke today saw what was going on with liberalism in America, he would be doing backflips. He'd be freaking out. Be like, hey guys, you took my ideas way too far. I didn't want this to happen. I don't want OnlyFans to happen. That's crazy. He would. Let me ask ChatGPT. Hey Chat, if John Locke discovered OnlyFans, what would he say about OnlyFans? Was that his vision for liberalism?
Oh, that's a pretty amusing thought experiment. I mean, if we teleported John Locke into the 21st century and introduced him to OnlyFans, he'd probably have a lot to process. Locke was all about individual rights, personal liberty, and the idea that people have the freedom to use their property as they see fit, as long as they don't harm others. In that sense, he'd probably find the concept of individuals monetizing their own content as an interesting, if very modern, exercise of their personal freedom. That said, I doubt OnlyFans was exactly what Locke had in mind when he was laying out his vision of liberalism. He was thinking more along the lines of property rights, representative government, and the social contract. So while he might recognize it as a form of individual liberty, he might also be a bit bewildered by how far that liberty has been taken in the digital age.
Okay, Chad, I think you're being very, very nice here and polite, but be honest. Would John Locke be like doing? Would he be turning in his grave if he saw what OnlyFans is?
Haha, fair enough. I can drop the super polite filter a bit. Honestly, Locke might be pretty baffled or even a bit shocked if he saw OnlyFans. He was living in a very different time and wasn't exactly envisioning a world where people would be selling personal content online, let alone adult content. So, yeah, he might have a bit of a turning in his grave moment just out of sheer surprise. But at the same time, he might still recognize it as a byproduct of the freedoms he
Okay, Chad.
championed.
Okay. What would he think about feminism? Like women being in power, women leading the country, women making their own decisions, divorcing men en masse, etc.
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So, John Locke was definitely a big advocate for individual rights and the idea that all individuals have certain natural rights. Now, he didn't explicitly write about gender equality in a modern feminist sense because that just wasn't the conversation of his era. But if we sort of time traveled him forward, I think he might have appreciated the logic behind it. He believed in the equality of human beings in terms of their natural rights. So the idea of women having autonomy, making their own decisions, and participating in public life probably wouldn't have struck him as totally outlandish, at least in theory. He might even have seen it as a natural extension of his principles of personal liberty and individual rights. Of course, he might have needed some time to wrap his head around the social changes and the idea of, say, no fault divorce or women leading countries. But fundamentally, he'd probably come down to the idea that if everyone has the same natural rights, then women should be able to exercise them just as much as men. So yeah, he might have ended up being
I think that's Chad's way of being really, really nice of saying that he probably wouldn't agree. But again, he was a product of his time. It was a different time back then. But he was a conservative Christian. So seeing what America did today, I think it would be a very hard pill for him to swallow, and he would have been like, "Is this what I've done? Is this my life's work? Is this what it brought the world to?" Okay, so commandment number 2: Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Okay, so here's the thing. Look at this. Okay, think about this. Is an important one. This is an important one. It might seem like, oh, that one's not so important. No, this one's really important. Listen to this again. Commandment number 2: Thou shalt not take the name of thy Lord of the Lord thy God in vain. Don't use God's name as like an expression. Take the name of God very seriously. Think about it. In Muslim countries, if you use the word God in a bad way, you're gonna get in trouble. In America, you can make fun of God. You can make fun of the prophets. You could wear a shirt that says something really, really disgusting, and it's your right. You could do it. But here's the thing: the whole enterprise can collapse if people start disrespecting it. If you go to the countries where you can't disrespect it by law, like it'll be a problem. Everybody takes it seriously. Everybody respects it. Even if you don't believe in it, you still respect it. In the countries where they could say anything they want, anytime they want, they can insult this authority. Nobody takes that authority seriously. So number 2 is a really powerful one as well. Think about it. In the Americas, where you have all like the breaking of the biblical rules, is because, well, they can make fun of the Bible. They can insult the Bible. They can say anything they want about the Bible. They used to take it seriously. Now they don't. So it just deflates its authority. Number 3, remember to keep the Holy Lord's Day. So Sabbath is the one day where you can't work. You can't lift a finger. You can't do anything. You have to rest on the Sabbath day. It's all about thinking. There's one day of the week where all you do is like religious stuff. So one day out of 7 is dedicated to God. Okay, number 4, honor thy father and thy mother. That's a huge one. Honor thy father and thy mother. Like today's kids, man, holy moly. Think about it. You can't part your wisdom on the kids. Why? Because they think they know better than you. Why? Because they're arrogant. They're socially unattractive to work with, to help, to guide, to mold. Because why? They talk back at you, they insult you. Like, it's amazing to me that young girl who went on Dr. Phil's show and she's like, "Catch me outside, how about that?" She was like insulting the crowd. She was acting like a brat. The crowd was mesmerized with her. All the internet made her a superstar. She signs a $14 million contract to like lip sync or lip rap or whatever it was, and she becomes a mega star. Then she does an OnlyFans page, and she becomes the most desired woman on the internet for a little while. Why? Because she went on the show and she was so dysfunctional. Her and her mother were so dysfunctional. And she threatened the crowd. She's like, "Let's go outside and fight each other." Instead of saying it that way, she said it in a way that nobody understood. It was quite hilarious. She was like, "Catch me outside, how about that?" Like, meaning, "I'll see you outside, we'll throw down." And all of America fell in love with her. All of America were intrigued with her. If she did it at a Muslim country, oh boy. Oh boy. Let me tell you something. She wouldn't have the guts. She wouldn't have the guts. What would happen to her? Man, I don't know. But let me just tell you something. It wouldn't be good. She wouldn't be number one on OnlyFans. She wouldn't be like giving $1 million contracts. But she's become a role model now. She's become a standard. You can get really rich. You can get really praised. You can get a lot of love if you behave in a certain way. And what is she famous for? Why did she go on the show? Because she was so dysfunctional. Her father left her, and her and her mother were just like going to war. They were physically fighting. They were cursing each other. No respect for her mother. She gets put on the show, and she's praised for it. It's crazy. Then number 5 is "Thou shalt not kill." Number 6, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." 7, "Thou shalt not steal." Number 8, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." That's another "thou shalt not." That's I never understood. It's like, okay, it's "thou shalt not lie," basically. Okay. Number 9, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife." Is that one really hard to follow? If your neighbor is married, don't touch her. Don't take your neighbor's wife, man. He's off to work. Don't go in his house, man. Don't go and start putting the moves on his woman. Think about that. Like, how could you have a society that's cohesive if we're all betraying each other like that? Who needs enemies when you have neighbors like this, you know? So it's just like the basics. You know, these are like low-hanging fruit. I think it's quite easy not to covet your neighbor's wife, but I think for some people, maybe it's not. And number 10, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods." When your neighbor's off to work, don't go steal from his garden. Don't go steal from his property. I think that's pretty basic, you know. So long story short, guys, if you don't live by these basic rules, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, your society is going to be so corrupt. They're going to be divided amongst themselves. And while they're fighting themselves, other nations that are more cohesive, other nations that are more harmonious, other nations that are more cooperative will surpass you. And once they surpass you, they'll probably leave you eating their dust. You know, so it's just a story of time. Civilizations crumble because they become corrupt. And that's every corner of the world. Okay, I'm not pointing fingers at one people or another. Believe me, the Muslims too. They got infatuated. The Muslims got infatuated with money, richness, money. Why? Because the Arabs, the Muslims went from very poor to very rich in a short period of time. In such a short period of time. It's crazy. So that money, the new generation of Muslims, they were so rich. Life was so abundant that it put them in a world spin. It changed their character in a sense. It's still true today. There's a lot of the most richest countries in the world are still Muslim countries. They're obscenely rich. So it's a challenge because you come out of touch with reality. You become out of touch with what's going on in an average person's life. It's a very big obstacle. That's why, sometimes I tell myself, like, what if I become crazy, crazy rich, like Trump money rich? How am I going to ensure my kids are not crazy? They're not lunatics. They're not somebody that I would hate to have passed down all that money to. It's a tough question. Can you really defend Saudi Arabia? That's from Sagar. I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about the people. I've been to Saudi. I love Saudi. The people are incredible. Now, of course, I separate government and people in every country, okay? Because I don't equivocate American people to the American government. I don't do that. I don't equivocate Canadian people to the Canadian government. Those are two very different things. two very, very different things. I don't equate Palestinians with the people in charge. Okay, I'm not gonna say their name now, and I don't equate Israelis with the people in charge, and I don't equate Russians with the Putin. I don't equate those two. Okay, so there's government, which I can't tell you I like any real government. Okay, but people are different, and I've been to these countries, and the people most of the time are incredible. Salam, coach. I'm Afghani and marrying this Lebanese girl. Can you please give me some advice, perspective, since you're Lebanese too? She's hijabi and very deen oriented and really great. MashaAllah alaik, mabruk. Inshallah, it works out very well. If she's Lebanese, my wife's not Lebanese. She's Quebecoise. So, of course, my cousins and my family, they're all Lebanese, of course, as I grew up with them. How are we the Lebanese? How are we? You gotta be patient, man. You gotta be patient with us. I'm telling you, because we're fiery. We're fiery people. We have like a. You gotta be the cool one. You gotta be the cool one in the relationship, because like I wish my wife could chime in here. She would tell you all about this. Like all the non-Lebanese in my family, they have a support group. So they have the WhatsApp. It's only for the non-Lebanese that married into the Lebanese side. And they have a support group with each other. So like, what did your Zahabi today? Oh, mine did this. Mine said that. Mine went like this. I did this. And then he did. And it's like they support each other. It's like they have a little, and they don't let us in. They don't let us into the chat. We're not allowed to see what's being said. And it's because we're a fiery, we're very like, let's just say we're full of character, fiery. I could say the word fiery a few more times. And she's going to need you to be cool. Because she's going to be fiery. So you can't be fiery with her, because then you have a fight. You have a firefight. So you got to be the cooler one. That's my advice to you. Have you formed the final decision on ecological jiu-jitsu after your discussion with Greg? Do you think it's more effective for expert or beginner? That's from Arthur. Arthur, I'll be honest with you. I've experimented with it. I still like I prefer the method of doing technique, then doing situation or games, and then live rolling. We do that very often in TriStar. I still think it's the ultimate formula. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes teaching something so special, so unique, so powerful is game-changing. So every day I give a lesson, I'm like, I have to come up with a game-changing lesson. Like I watch my students roll, and I'm like, if I had to tell them one thing that would change their game, what is that one thing? So I feel like I don't want to skip on that. I don't think ecological on its own is better than doing both. And all the studies I've looked at so far, it's always static drilling versus dynamic drilling or ecological games. I would tell you for sure already, I will tell you, no, the ecological games are going to win, because like I'll give you, for instance, how they prove ecological is better. Okay. This is what they show. They show a kid running through cones with a soccer ball. He's not being timed. He's just running through static cones. And then the other group of kids, they're playing tag. So one kid has a ball, the other kid has a ball, and one kid has to catch the other kid while dribbling the ball. Of course, those kids are going to get more work. Why? There's a competition element. You're chasing me in real time, so now I got to juggle the ball and run away from you. For sure, that's a better drill. Now, if the boy on the technique side was being timed when he was going through the cones, I'll be like, okay, now he's going to push the pace. But they were just letting him dribble the ball through cones. Okay, I would tell you that's not going to challenge him. Why? Because he's going to dribble at his pace. So think about it like this, okay? Every day you drive your car to work and from work. You drive your car every single day. But you're not a great race car driver. If I put you in a race car, you'll finish last. Those race car guys will beat you every time. What's the difference? Well, those guys are pushing their limits when they're driving the car. You're just driving at your leisure. So because I'm not challenging you, what if I told you, okay, every day you're going to go to work and you're going to have to shave off a few minutes every day you go to work. So now you're going to become a better driver. I'm putting the timer on you. I'm measuring you. I'm testing you. And then I'm remeasuring you again. Now that I put the timer and the test, I'm testing your performance, you're going to get a lot better. So because there's no way to measure when you're going through cones, you're not really going to see improvements. Now the other group, they can measure. Why? Because if you touch me and you tag me, I lost. So it's not that the drill is live only, is that you're getting immediate feedback. You're getting immediate feedback from your environment, which is what is really important. So like today I was showing guys how to sprawl on somebody who's in turtle and how to control them. And I think I was giving them gems that they blew, like it was telling them, look, I didn't know I can control a man using my hand or my weight this way or shifting. So I'm giving them keys, and then we live roll in that particular situation. The guy on the bottom has a few things he's allowed to do, and the guy on top has to. And we tinker around with them, the moves that I taught in real time. But I feel that skipping that step where you explain the moves, my student's got to discover it on his own. I think it just delays the process. And I think a lot of instructors are going to like that approach when they don't have that much to teach. The guys with a little less to teach, they're going to like that approach more. They're going to want to take developed guys and just put them in the games. And those guys, the developed guys, are going to win in the games. Why? Because they're more developed. And they're going to think those games are making me great. Well, really, if that trainer could teach them something they didn't know about, those athletes would benefit even more. So look, what I'm trying to say is the two together is the ultimate combination. Coach, you just used like a gallon of fresh water. That's from Yassine. Okay, thanks, man. Ben says he got ghosted. How do I ghost Ben? Oh, okay. Coach, any advice on going through a bad breakup? That's from Ben. $2. Guys, $2. How bad could the breakup be? You sent me $2? Hold on a second. I got Arthur here. He sent me $5. Hold on. Let me answer Arthur's question first. Have you formed... Oh, no. That was... Thank you, Arthur, for that $5. Sweet of you. Okay, so Ben's going through a breakup. Look, here's my opinion, okay? I think in the West, we're too romanticized. Like, we're too, like, getting down on one knee and, like, giving her a ring and, like putting her on a pedestal. And I don't think that's really good for a relationship, personally. Like, I treat my wife good and I really, like, take care of her. But I think men in our societies, we're becoming too much of a doormat. Okay, so why? Women are becoming too powerful in the sense of choice. Because if you're not good with her and she breaks up with you, she's got 5 other guys messaging her on DMs because she has public access to people's profiles, and women are in great pursuit. Men are always trying to go through as many women as possible. So she could become some guy's girl on the side. She doesn't have to deal with you. So men and social media has made men less powerful than before. So women have more abundant choices. So that minimizes you. Your options are limited because of social media. So I would tell you, in this day and age, I would focus on opening up my options, trying to be successful, trying to get educated, trying to make money, trying to be successful in many different ways so I don't fall behind. Because the thing is, the women now today are far too powerful because of social media. Far too powerful. All they got to do is show that they're pretty, and there's a million filters, and there's a million makeup tricks, and there's a million lighting tricks. All they have to do is make themselves look good, and guys will DM them, take them out to free meals and want to reach out to them, etc. So it's very easy for them to throw out bait. But men, you have to show some kind of prestige, money, power, class. Then the messages will start bouncing back and forth. But if you don't have that, if you're just a pretty face, it's not enough. It's not enough. So it's a much higher hurdle for men to get interaction with women. Social media has changed the landscape, friends. Before that, it was more even. I would say even men had the advantage. Now, social media in the last 20 years has flipped the tables. The women have become incredibly powerful. So in my opinion, you got to up your game and you got to be very careful. You got to make sure that you develop your ability to attract women, because men now, statistically speaking, are having less access to women than before. Today's men are having less access to women. They're staying virgins longer. They have less access to women than before. Why? Because the top elite men are getting them all. The top elite men are getting to more women than ever. Because of technology, because of apps, because of social media. Elite men are going through more partners than ever before. So if you're not in that elite group, you're starting to fall down, and It's just tough business. It's just really bad. Brother, it's Luigi. All the best for this week. It's time. Inshallah, brother. Thank you very much. And appreciate that. Thank you, Luigi. Our nutritionist. Luigi, what's your plan again? I forget the name. Guys, Luigi is our dietitian. He's our nutritionist. He's helping my brother and a whole bunch of fighters cut and make weight for their fights. Ayman's fighting. My brother's fighting this weekend, so he's going to make weight, hopefully, inshallah. And Luigi's a big part of that. Thank you, Luigi, the man. Yassine is still laughing. He says, I'm crying. He talking about the Catch Me Outside girl. Guys, let me tell you something. That Catch Me Outside girl blew my mind. How is she so famous? Why are people so obsessed with her? Like, I feel sorry for the girl because, you know, she's obviously like been mistreated growing up. I feel bad for her. I wouldn't want her like to be punished. I blame the mother. Like, once you hear the mother talking, you're like, holy moly, she gets it from the mother. Like, even Dr. Phil had them back on the show, and I really don't like Dr. Phil. I think he's a scumbag, but whatever. He has them back on the show, invites the mother, and is like, hey, you were telling my staff that you wouldn't do the show unless we get you this hotel, this treatment, this limousine. He's like, you were twisting her arm like you were, and then she got really embarrassed, and she's like, no, I didn't say that. But I bet you she did, man. You could tell by her attitude, the way she's so arrogant and frustrating to talk to. Oh, man, I wouldn't be able to deal with somebody like that. I don't understand how America was so infatuated. They were so infatuated with this woman. And the second she opens an OnlyFans, hold on, I gotta look up how much she make. Let's see how much. Catch Me Outside girl. Catch Me Outside girl. OnlyFans. How much did she make? Bad baby Danielle Bregoli claims to have made $75 million on OnlyFans with initial earnings of $1 million in her first 6 hours and $4 million in her first day. Her 2024 reported net earnings after OnlyFans commissions were $57 million based over $71 million in gross revenue from a combination of subscription, tips, and private messages. Oh my God. What? She made $75 million on OnlyFans? Oh my God. Guys, whoever out there gave her even a penny, please unsubscribe from my channel. Please, if any of you out there gave her even 1 penny, please unsubscribe from my channel. Dude, why would you guys give this girl any money? What's so intriguing about seeing Bad Baby, whatever she calls herself? Like, come on, guys, what's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you? Why do you let these women walk all over you? Here, take my money. I just want to see a picture of you. I just want to have a chat with you. Take my money. Look, she thinks you're so low. Guys, if Bad Baby called me right now and she's like, hey, I'll give you your own private OnlyFans show. And my wife's like, it's okay, go for it. I don't mind. Don't worry about it. And everybody was like, it's okay, go for it. I still wouldn't want. I was like, no thanks. No thanks. Really uninterested. Oh my God, I can't believe she made $75 million. This is insane. $77 million or whatever it was. That's insane. Salam, coach. I recommend Sufi philosopher / scholar named René Guénon and Gay Itun. I recommend this docu called Origins of Perennial Philosophy. All right, let me look it up. Origins of Perennial Philosophy. Where can I find this? Hold on, let's see. Goodness gracious. Okay, here we go. Origins of perennial philosophy, school of thought. What is perennial philosophy? Oh, they have a picture of Leibniz. This is intriguing. Intéressant. The Perennial Philosophy by Aldous Huxley, first edition. What is perennial philosophy? Okay, this is very interesting. I'm saving this to watch later. All right, well, who are those characters you mentioned? Let's see here. René Guénon. René, let's see. René. All right, look, I'll look into it because this does look interesting. You guys know how much I love Leibniz. Thank you for that suggestion, Saga. I'll look into it. Thank you very much. And the midwife who brought her into this world will be lucky to make $100,000 in a year. That's from Prod. Yeah, the guys gave her $75 million. Think about how much money that is. That is insane. And then I love how she's probably going to say, oh, I made my millions being an entrepreneur. I'm such an entrepreneur. What did you do? Oh, I opened an OnlyFans. I insulted Dr. Phil, and then I opened an OnlyFans. And bam, America makes you rich. Only in America. Only in America. Guys, you got to admit, this is funny. This is crazy. $70+ million. Look, man, I don't get it. I don't get the fascination. Corey made 10 million on OnlyFans. That's from Enzo. I heard it was 2 million, but I'm not gonna comment on that. Okay, I'm not gonna comment on that. I promise you, Coach, there is no cross section between Bad Baby's OnlyFans viewers and Firas Zahabi MMA fans. That's from Prod. I hope not. I really hope not. Seriously, but anyways, I mean, I don't want to judge the girl. I think she had a very different upbringing. She had a very tough life. She had a very very difficult parent as a mother. You hear her mother's voice and you're like, whoa. I'm not blaming the girl. I don't know the girl. I'm not judging the girl. I'm just saying, why are you guys sending her so much money? What's so intriguing to you? What is it about her that you got to have her? You got to have her. So much her. Not that she's not a pretty girl. I'm sure she's a pretty girl and all that. But why so much enthusiasm? Please answer Freebird's question. I don't know what Freebird's question is. I wish you would have copied it. Oh, here we go. Hey, Coach, what would be your Hey, Coach, what would be your advice/protocol to get out of a slump? Low energy, skipping gym, not working towards goals, increasing anxiety, etc. That's from Freebird. Freebird, I wonder, why do you have low energy? Are you eating correctly? Because eating is so massive. It's so important. Eating correctly, sleeping right, proper hydration. These three things: proper rest, proper sleep hygiene, eating correctly, proper exercise. These are so important, because if you don't have energy, guys, if you wake up out of bed and you feel horrible, something's wrong with your diet, your exercise program, and or your diet. It's super important that you have plenty of energy all the time and that you feel great all the time. If you don't feel like you have energy, it's very difficult to go through life and be successful. It is incredibly difficult. It is incredibly deflating to try to face the day when you're tired, lethargic, headaches. Because then that's when you're going to get anxiety, right? Because you didn't perform well. You're not creative as usual. You're not as creative when you're low on energy. So you half-ass it. You get bad results. And you're like, oh, I have less motivation, less energy than before. And now my results are going to be even worse. And that's when the anxiety builds up. I highly recommend getting a very good diet plan, a very good exercise program that complements your lifestyle, and very, very good sleep. Start there. It's really, really important. After that, it's also mindset, because don't forget, guys, success it's physical, but it's also mental. The two have to go in hand. Don't ever say it's all mental and it's all physical. No, it's the two. The two go hand in hand. You have to take care of your body, proper hygiene, proper sleep hygiene. Okay, you got to sleep well. Turn off your electronic devices when you're sleeping. Sleep 8 hours a day. Sleep with your mouth closed. Make sure you're not breathing through your mouth at night. Sleep your 8 hours. Eat a healthy breakfast. Eat a healthy lunch. Skip a meal if you can. Do some fasting. Intermittent fasting is really, really good. And proper exercise, guys. This is so important that your body has vitality. Without vitality, you can't be creative. You can't be enthusiastic about your day. It's very difficult to accomplish your goals. All right, guys, it is time for a fun end to this podcast. So give me something funny, light, humorous. No more deep questions. No more super chats, please. Okay, guys, I got to do the super chat because I missed it. This is from Calistenia. Salam, coach. Thoughts on long distance cycling? Also, USSR Rus like Khabib run long distances. Still bad? Question mark. Advice for neck pinch, nerve pain. Wassalam. Jazakallah khair. Look, I spoke to Khabib. He told me he likes long runs. I'll tell you why. Because he's huge. He can't make the weight class. I love Khabib. I've seen him train. I've worked out with him. Okay, I've trained with the man. He's super high intensity. He goes hard. Okay, he does lots of intervals. He does lots of aggressive training. But he also told me he likes long runs. And it makes sense to me. In my head, I realize why he needs long runs, because he does a massive weight cut. The guy's huge. When I was hanging out with him, he was at least, I would say he was over 180. Easy. So how does he get to 155? Look, guys, I wrote a PDF for strong and stable running. And I talk about in strong and stable running, there are only 2 reasons to do long runs. And you're saying long cycling. Cycling included. If you're doing cycling, I prefer you do intervals. There's only 2 reasons to do long distance running or cycling. 1, it's for fun, to clear your head. You enjoy it. Sometimes I take my bike. I have a Roubaix. I love my bicycle. And sometimes I do long kilometers, like 25, 30 kilometers. For cyclists, that's not long, but for me, that's long, okay? Again, guys, it's a hobby. I'm not trying to be Tour de France. I suck at cycling. I'm not nowhere near. What guys consider long is not what I consider. For me, like 50K is crazy long. I know some people do that like for fun on a warm-up. You know, I get it. I'm not a good cyclist. Long for me, okay? Only for fun or there's one more good reason. You need to make weight. You're a fighter, you need to cut weight. You need to drop down. Let's say you're not happy with your size. Some women, they're like, oh, I'm too muscular, like I'm too big. I tell them, okay, go for long runs. It will shrink your body. You will eat up your muscle. Your muscle will shrink. So if you're a lean person, but you don't like being bulky, like, you know, I had one girl, she was telling me, my legs are too big. They're muscular, you know, they're too big. I said, okay, do long runs. Do long runs over time. Control your diet. Long runs, you'll slim down. Your legs will get smaller. No doubt about it. It's catabolic. Long runs is catabolic. It eats muscle. Short runs is anabolic. Men usually want to add muscle. Especially as you get older, you lose muscle naturally. So you want to counteract that by adding muscle, by doing sprints. So there's only 2 reasons. In the strong and stable running, I have the PDF and it tells you there's only 2 reasons to do long runs or long cycling. 1, you're doing it for fun, and doing it for fun once in a while is not going to hurt you. And I also include active rest. Like, let's say I'm sore, I'm too tired, I'm beat up a bit today. I'm not going to do anything intense. Let me go run a prolonged period of time, get some scenery, put on a podcast, and I give a bunch of running workouts. And one of them is like, put on your favorite podcast, putting on your favorite movie if you're going to run on a treadmill inside, and like just do a nice long run for fun because you feel like it. It happens to me. Sometimes I feel like going for a long run for fun. Or I need to get smaller. And Khabib, definitely, the Russian guys you're talking about, they're huge for their weight class. They've been cutting weight since they're young. They know that if they run a lot, they can squeeze into a shorter weight class and do some damage. And the Thais know that too. The Thais run every day. And they know it keeps them slim and small and close to their weight class that they want to desire to compete in. So for that reason, it makes sense. Now, if you're not competing in a weight class and you want to build more muscle, you don't want to take muscle off, because there's some of you out there, a small percentage of you might want to take muscle off, but that's a very small amount of men out there. Most men will always tell me they want to add muscle. Long runs will help you. So Khabib's got to make his weight class. I guarantee you that's the only reason he runs. He tells me he enjoys it. He loves the long runs. I'm like, yeah, okay, you might do it for fun. But I also know you need to make your weight. Like I've seen him at weigh-ins. Like I've had guys fighting at the same time he's fighting, and we're at the weigh-ins together. And I'll tell you something. Khabib's weight cuts are tough. Like he's not in the happiest place. Like it's tough. Him making 155, 156 was tough for him. All right, guys, please give me something funny to end on. It is time for me to get to bed shortly. Guys, I'm only doing something funny or entertainingly hilarious. I missed your super chat. Asmi says I missed his super chat. Ugh, why am I... Sorry, my brother. I can't seem to find that super chat. Guys, give me something funny, light. No more super chats. Let's just do something light and funny. Make me laugh, guys, please. All right. I got to refresh. Guys, make me laugh. Now, it's the end of the podcast. We've been at it for 2+ hours. Usually I go to sleep around midnight, but now because I'm doing my podcast, I'm late for bed. Asmi, I apologize, man. Put it in the just type it up, Asmi. Just type it up. Don't super chat. Just put your super chat. Put an asterisk next to it. I'm gonna do my best to find it, because I can't find your super chat because I looked it up and it was going blank. Coach, how many Satan Yahoos do you need to spawn into beat Ngannou? Ugh. I wish Ngannou to stamp out all the Satan Yahoos there is. Oh, man, I despise that man. Coach, for us, what would you do if you saw an alien ship so big it takes up the entire sky? That's our manual. Well, after seeing what's going on in the world, I'll be like, hey, guys, take me out of here, man. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Beat me up, Scotty. Beat me up. Maybe you guys can take me to a better place. You know, because sometimes I see the news and I'm like, man, this place is so depressing. So much negative news all the time. Violence, destruction, death. Just, it's kind of depressing sometimes. Especially my students, when they always like tell me, hey, coach, did you hear about this? They know how that woke stuff triggers me. All that woke craziness, you know? They're like, oh, what about this? What about that? They know, they love to they love to hear about this stuff and say, oh, coach is gonna like this one. Oh, look at this. Look what they're doing here. Oh my God. My super chat was thoughts on Assad fall and Syria finally liberated from the tyrannical regime. Much love from your Syrian brother. That's from Asmi. Well, congratulations. I heard. Look, I'm not familiar with the Syrian government. I'm not in the know, but I heard that the guy was super violent, super dangerous, super aggressive. He was torturing people. He was just like super bad guy. So I'm happy to hear that there's a relief there, you know, but I really don't know the ins and outs and details. Forgive me for being, you know, ignorant about that particular government. And I'm happy to hear that it's benefited you. So that's some good news. Fun question. Let's say tomorrow is backwards day. In your opinion, what MMA coach would make the best fighter and what fighter would make the best coach? Any secret badass coaches? That's from Prod by Mobin. Who would be the best fighter out of the coaches? That's an interesting one. Let me scratch my head a few more times. That's a tough one. Tough. Because I'm not sure. What fighter would be the best coach? That's a tough one too. It's kind of hard to say. That's a good question, man. I was about to say Mark Coleman would make the best coach. Why? Because like I remember when he was cornering like Phil Baroni, and he was like, blast him, and we're like, what? He was screaming like I don't remember which fighter it was, but he was like coaching a fighter, Mark Coleman, and his coaching was always like explode, crash him. And I remember it was one of his fighters was mounted, and he was screaming, get out of there right now. Get out. He was giving him an order. Get out of there right now. Right now, I want you to get. He was Mike Coleman was getting triggered. He was a Mark Coleman. For those of you who don't know, he was like a superstar fighter once upon a time. A heavy steroid abuse, like heavy. He had a good double leg, would lay on top of guys, and he was just a mountain of muscle. He wasn't super technical or no finesse really, but just so much hormones in his system he could hurt anybody. And I can't remember the fighter he was cornering, Jim West or something like that. Anyways, he was mounted, he was getting beat, and Mark Coleman was like, get out of there right now, get out of there. And we would like all listen to his cornering, and we're like, oh my God, that's insane. Like, how do you want me to get out of here? You just want me to push him off me? But, it was just quite hilarious. Who would make, man, you just perplexed me, man. I'm going to think about this later. Damn it, that's a good question. You stopped me, man. You stopped me. You got me. If I say GSP, everybody's going like, oh, coach, come on, I'm thinking of guys outside my training, outside the guys I worked with. Why? Because it wouldn't be fair, right? Obviously, I'm going to pick the guys I train with all the time. Look, Khabib is an amazing coach. That's for sure. I've trained with him, an amazing coach, and he was an amazing fighter, so for sure, Khabib. Which coach would be an amazing fighter? That's a tough one. That's a really tough one, man. I don't know. I haven't really seen them in action. Hard to say. Maybe Trevor Whitman. Trevor Whitman was a very good amateur boxer. Very successful amateur boxer. He didn't do grappling and wrestling and stuff like that, but he could have learned it in his day. It's just in his day, it wasn't that popular. Coach, you missed the super chat. Hi, Coach. If you set up your stream for multi-platform like Twitch and Kick, I'll give you your purple belt in button pushing. That's from Barnum. Barnum, I wouldn't even know how to do that. Like, it's crazy. I'm so ignorant. I'm so bad at this. It's crazy, but I don't even know how to do that. So maybe I'll make it a goal for the new year. Ray Longo from Freebird. Ray Longo, actually, I don't know if Ray Longo was ever like, if he ever gloved up. I don't know what his background is, actually. I mean, I've never worked with the guy. I've met the guy many times. I've chatted with him many times, but I'm not sure what his background is exactly. I have to ask him one day. Trevor Whitman is amazing. Love his character. That's from X7. Yeah, Whitman is a great guy. Amazing guy, amazing coach. Super talented man. Oh, yeah, the Ankalev Pereira fight. Guys, I'm so happy I picked Pereira the second time. At first, I picked Ankalev in their first fight. And I got bombarded, man. I got bombarded. People were so angry with me. It was crazy. And then I picked Pereira in the second fight because I was like, this time he watched the first fight and he's like kicking himself. And he's like, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to put the pain on him. He's not going to be so worried about the takedown this time around. And sure enough, man, that's what happened. Sure enough, Pereira looked incredible. But again, if a third match happens, now Ankalev has a chance to adjust. He's going to be like, hey, how do I deal with this forward pressure? Here's some options. Coach, if you could eat one food, what would it be? That's from Yosef. Yosef, I got to tell you, okay, guys, I'm ending on this one. I've been on a kick now. I've been making this healthy fried chicken. It's not really fried. It's air fried. Okay, but I take, I'm a low fat diet, guys. Those of you who don't know, I do high protein, low fat, and I take chicken breast. I take chicken breast. I dip it in rice milk. Okay, so I cut it like strands. I dip it in rice milk, then flour, but the flour is seasoned. Now, if you season the flour just right, it's incredible. So how do I season the flour? I put salt in the flour, and then I put this barbecue seasoning. It's a spicy barbecue seasoning, okay? There's no fat in the seasoning. It's just a little bit of sugar, but no fat. Because me, I'm very low fat, okay? So I put barbecue seasoning, and you guys know I love barbecue. So I put in the flour, there's salt and barbecue seasoning. And then, so I take the chicken, I dip it in the rice milk. You could use white egg white, okay, also. But I use rice milk. Then the seasoned flour. And then I dip it in panko. So it's a zero fat breadcrumbs. Japanese style breadcrumbs, panko. And then I put that in the Ninja, the air fryer. And you could use a little bit of coconut butter in the air fryer, but you don't really need it. And I cook it in there. And then I eat it. It's like so crunchy. It's so delicious. It's like, it's so good. It's as good as steak. Okay. I know that's crazy, but it's as good. I love fried chicken, but it's not fried. It's not fried. It's crispy chicken. But you guys know that's fried chicken. And I eat pizza, no cheese. I enjoy those foods. So pizza, no cheese, fried chicken, not really fried, air fried, no fat. So everything is very low fat. I eat pizza, no cheese, guys. I love pizza, no cheese. And I stay very lean. And I'm eating really good. I'm eating a lot of protein, a lot of carbs, no fat. And I love fried chicken. Again, it's not really fried. It's air fried. And it's not even really, it's oven baked, I should say. Oven baked chicken, but it's prepared like fried chicken. And I'll tell you guys something crazy. I like it better than real fried chicken. It's better because I don't feel horrible after I eat it, and I feel good. I go train. I feel amazing. If I eat real fried chicken, oh man, that's it for the day. I got to lie down on my couch and like comatose. But this healthy fried chicken, it's not really fried. It's more air fried or oven baked pretty much. It's crispy. It's crunchy. I had it twice today. And let me tell you about the sauce. The sauce is also low fat. You take mustard, ketchup, you mix it up. You could add sriracha. If you add sriracha, now it's spicy. Oh, man. You take that in. I cut the chicken tender in pieces, and I'm having nuggets, man. High protein, low fat, carved up, eating delicious food. Oh, man, it's amazing. And it's super healthy. You eat it and you feel good after. Even if you don't feel like you're going to crash, you feel amazing. You feel like you can go run laps. You can go wrestle. You can do anything. And you're building muscle. You're shredding fat. And it's just such a beautiful existence, man. You're happy. You're eating your food and you're happy. Oh, this is so delicious. Guys, I got to tell you, I love steak and I love fried chicken. But fried chicken kills your energy. Do this healthy fried chicken that I just told you. It's super easy to do. It's super delicious. It's super healthy. And if you're like me and you're on a low-fat diet, I hate low-carb diets. Low-carb diets suck, man. I can't function on low-carb diets. I can't train. I feel horrible. I do high-carb and low-fat. The fats are low. And man, I love my breakfast. I love my lunch. I love my dinners. And I love that I could always order a pizza with no cheese. If I'm stuck and I'm short on time, I order a pizza, no cheese, and I eat it, and I'm guilt-free, and I feel good. Uh-oh, we got another super chat. If force equals mass times acceleration, why don't the fastest guys hit the hardest? That's from Mike Goodwin. Well, the fastest guys do hit the hardest. Power is distance over time. Force equals mass times acceleration over time. So the faster guy hits harder, no doubt about it. Speed kills. Now, when you hit an object, if you're strong enough to not bounce off that object, you're going to transfer the force. So strength also matters. How robust you are. But speed does kill, for sure. In Michael Kogan's New Power program, he explains that speed is what you want to accentuate. Your functional mass. So you want to reduce fat because fat is not functional, and you want to increase in muscular mass because that's what helps you move your body. Now, it's quite more complex than that a little bit. He goes into it a little deeper, but ultimately speaking, yes, if you move faster, you will hit harder, but you got to be able to absorb the power that you're generating. You got to be able to push back. It's kind of like, imagine if I fired imagine I was in a canoe and I fired a cannon. What would happen to the canoe? The canoe would just break down, right? It would explode. So your explosiveness is like that cannon, but you got to be stable and strong to withstand that explosiveness. So imagine I fire a cannon and the cannon is halfway buried into the ground and the ground is super sturdy, and I fire that cannon. Well, that cannon is going to go really far. Now imagine I'm on a skating rink and I fire that cannon. Well, the cannonball is not going to go as far because as soon as it fires, the cannon is going to fly in the opposite direction. So stability, strength is also equally important, because when two objects collide, there's equal force in both objects. One might fly off the handle if it's not anchored, if it's not robust. Okay, so when two objects collide, it's the more robust and stable structure that's going to, in a combat scenario, win. Okay, so stability and robustness. What does robustness mean? Like, let's say I punch you on the top of the head. Well, the skull on the top of the head is more robust than the bones in my hand. So my hand will more likely break, and the guy you're punching is going to get hurt more than the guy getting punched in that scenario. Now, if I punch your chin or jaw, the jaw is less robust than my fist. Therefore, my hand will win that exchange. So you want the right body parts to connect. So if I connect, let's say I kick you through the shin, and the smaller part of my shin hits the bigger part of your shin. Well, that's why sometimes people's leg breaks when they kick. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I really enjoyed this podcast as always. Don't forget to use fall 50 off and get 50% off anything on jujitsuclub.com. Guys, it's always a blast hanging out with you. Thank you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode.